And we are live. Welcome to the Tack and Pulse podcast, your place for sci-fi newsroom and debate. I will shortly be joined by our Joshua Patton from CBR, who's running late because he's an American. Americans do that. They have no concept of time or manners or anything like that. So, yeah, we will have him with us shortly. But what are we talking about today? We are going to be talking about Star Trek and potentially the end of Star Trek. Now, as you guys know, because you listen to my video, I have been speaking to quite a high up source over at Paramount. And I actually have told Joshua who it is I'm speaking to. And he, the same as me, went, really? Yeah, I genuinely didn't believe it. This guy got in touch with me. I did speak to Joshua about him a little bit, and he did sort of say that, yeah, he'd heard he's a good guy and what have you. But I really want to talk to Josh about that, but also to talk about how Strange New Worlds has started. These first two episodes and the episode that we're getting tomorrow. Now, I don't know if you've seen the clips for tomorrow's episode, but I have a sneaky suspicion. And this is based on nothing but a few clips. He's with us. Adds to stage.
Hey.
Mr. Patton. Look at you above the bridge of the
That's right.
Oh, mate. I'm immediately angry at you. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Oh, I noticed the red light back there. That's very ominous.
Live color.
So,
thumbnail that is also red, and then my video color is blue because I think about these things.
That's actually some deep level production. Who are you talking to when I came in, by the way?
We're live.
We're live now.
We're watching already. I just was talking about how
I had no idea. Hello, everyone. I hope I didn't say anything untoward.
I probably should have mentioned it. I did tell you in the message I would start, and that you can join me when you're ready. I was just explaining to people how rude and late you are.
That's true. I'm an American. What do you expect?
I said that. Our minds are as one. And I was just sort of saying that I've seen the clips for tomorrow's episode of Strange New Worlds. And we chatted about it briefly yesterday, because obviously.
Yes, I have seen the clips of tomorrow's episode, but in order of that they appear in the episode, as in I've seen the whole episode.
Well, I wasn't going to say that unless you wanted to say it out loud.
There is no secret. I have seen the first 6 episodes, and in fact, if you would go check out my review over at cbr.com, I mentioned that we got the first 6 episodes for review, and. You can find out my general thoughts, spoiler-free thoughts of the season in that article. Too long, didn't read. I'll just say that it's, I think Strange New Worlds is what it is now. Like, going into this second season, even though I don't think they quite knew they were done when they started this one, I think they've just embraced that they are what they are, for better or worse. And I think, tomorrow's episode is going to be one of those for better or worse, because it is a humorous episode. It leans into the comedy. It does look like the actors are having a lot of fun with it. The premise, I'm not going to give it away, but there is a kind of unique premise. We talked about it yesterday, where there was. It's a little like Shore Leave from the first season of TOS, where they go to this planet and their imaginations come to life. That's not what happens here, but there is sort of a planet-wide thing that explains the strange behavior. And in that sort of context, there is what I think is a relatively straightforward, pretty good Star Trek problem. And, I think it really works, particularly because the episode focuses on, as was hinted at in the first 2 episodes, the sort of growing animus between Scotty and Ortegas. So I had fun with it. I do remember thinking, because you're always on my mind, Jay. I was thinking that I was like, Jay probably he'll have a rough time with this one. But again, they act out of character, but there is an absolute sort of reason for it.
There is an explanation, unlike the last episode. There is actually an explanation for this one.
Yes.
Not just magic.
Just spooky, yes.
A magic flower or something, I'm going to lose my fragile little mind. That's all I'm going to say. Poisoned by pollen, and it made them all go. I'm going to lose my mind. All right, now I won't, because we mentioned. I'm not going to spoil this either. You didn't tell me any details, but I'm there going, I've seen this episode and I can't place where I've seen it. But I was thinking about that. That's a little bit unfair, because sci-fi does regurgitate basic ideas and philosophy, because there's only about 6 actual basic stories.
That's very true.
Of a theme.
I remember, again, I did not watch Enterprise as it was airing. And again, I was taking it for granted. I remember thinking, I'll just catch the next one, see this in reruns, because what Star Trek's going to go away? No chance.
Yeah.
But I remember people were talking about, like, it's rehashing all the same old plots. They go to a strange planet. There's this, but there are Star Trek plots, like the Prime Directive plot. They go to a planet. They can't reveal themselves. They have to, hello from Buenos Aires.
I love it when I go all over the world. I just can't help but go, I'm an idiot in Britain doing stupid little videos, and there are people literally all over the world that watch me. It's so
yeah. The site I worked at before, we used to get geographic data, and I remember I got all 7 continents because we had, and I think it had to be a VPN or some kind of thing, but I got like one Antarctica guy.
No, that'd be so cool. But they're over there.
That's like, there's people there. They like comic books and stuff. They're bored. They have to be.
Exactly. You're not going to do that sort of job unless you're a comic book nerd or something. Just hold on to your hat, because it might go fly off when I admit this.
Okay.
First episode of Strange New Worlds this season. There were glaring cock-ups in it, which I did sort of raise in my video. But on the whole, I wasn't bored. I quite enjoyed it. It was action-packed. On the whole, I will
confess, I actually didn't see your video for that first one. What was the cock-ups? Because one of my articles for CBR around that was how a lot of that was based in real, not real as in proved, but like real scientific theories, like the 5th planet thing. No, I
have no problem with that. There's the Planet X, there's all that sort of thing. I have no problem with that. My biggest problem was that they sort of go in, Prime Directive, we mustn't change time. Oh, we can't even step on a blade of grass. Oh, you've got this alien problem. We could probably talk to him. Let's just go talk to them. And I'm pretty sure that's quite a big thing that you were saying a second ago not to do.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's a cock-up. I think that was intentional. I think because the point of that, I think, and I wrote about this, I forget in which one, is that's there's what the crew believes about going down on the planet, and then Pike trying to help the aliens. That's more personal to him and his especially the fact that, when April offered him that promotion, it wasn't just your typical, I don't want to stop being captain. He knows that when he stops being captain, it's straight to the wheelchair, up face, beeping light thing. Like, he knows that. And so I think that's what that was about. And that's why, and I think that was meant to build up to the moment when they're about to stop them from blowing up the 5th planet. And he has to say, don't fire, because there's no 5th planet in their time.
I'm on max. Someone's just saying about turning my volume up. Can you turn yours down slightly?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how to turn it down, but I'll try.
Microwave. I think that might be better. You sound okay to me, but I think we had this problem last time, didn't you, that you were a bit too close. And so
I am a loud dude. What if I push it away? Can you hear me?
Dominating everyone. Yeah, I can still hear you fine.
Okay.
Maybe that's better. Hence the conversation, if that's a little bit better. But yeah, I'm on max. Sorry, guys. I'm not as close to my microphone as I could be, though. There you go. That'll freak out the viewers.
It was like you got hit by a photon torpedo just now.
Yeah. When I'm on I can't go through my microphone because I haven't got headphones to go with it. And this thing normally evens it out. So I have to rely on my iPad, and it isn't great. Sorry, guys, for lives. All I had to do was buy some wired headphones, and I would solve the problem.
That's why I still go wired headphones. It's where it's at.
Yeah,
they never run out of battery.
Yeah, it just sticks an hole in the back. But I haven't done it.
It's a high-speed mic too, by the way. This dinky little guy.
Yeah, lots of
looking like I'm testifying in front of Congress.
But hated the second episode.
Really? See, I believe I told you that you're either going to love it or hate it, and now I
bored by it was more the problem.
Now, are you a horror guy? Do you like horror stuff in general? See, I think there might be the rub, because I'm fair to middling when it comes to horror. I don't like. I'm not super into it, but that hit all the right horror notes for me. The slow tension, the it's, you know, the fact that nothing's explained. Like sci-fi. You're right. We are supposed to know about the tachyon pulse. We're supposed to know about the chronotons, the gravimetric disturbance, that the inertial dampers aren't working. That stuff we're supposed to know. Now, it is all nonsense. It's made up silliness, but
famous technobabble. Why not?
Yeah. But the thing I think about that sort of separates horror from both sci-fi and fantasy is that it's just spooky.
It was boring. I was bored, and for me, in my video I put Star Trek's done Event Horizon, because that's what it reminded me of.
I mean, it had that vibe, but again, the details of the story very, very different.
Go into as much gore as Event Horizon, and Event Horizon or Sphere don't really have explanations, but Star Trek doesn't normally just leave it hanging like that. So I couldn't think of another time they'd done it, but they must have done it at some point. Had something they just didn't throw any technobabble at all. But they made a point saying they've had
episodes. Oh, sorry to step on you, bud. I thought.
No, I was going to say that the part of the thing was, there wasn't it, that we can't explain it. So that was kind of part of it, but it did leave me going a bit.
Yeah. Well, there have been episodes where they offer a theory and it's not confirmed, you know, and I think there's that thing where a lot of fans will do, whereas a character says something on screen and they think that it's a sort of canon fact. Yeah, I mean, look, Sub Rosa was on my lips.
Nobody this episode. Nobody did. I mean, Spock and his ex might have come close, but nobody had sex. So
yeah. What did you think about the ear part? That shocked me in a way that, like,
yeah, I know it's supposed to. And then number one comes and scuts her. That's when I started thinking, oh, this is Event Horizon. For me, this episode was just them. They wanted to do a horror.
Yeah.
And they did this. I think. I don't know anything about this, but I do wonder if they were thinking about maybe doing some sort of Section 12 series or something. Maybe that was one of the things they were thinking of pitching at the time. I've never heard any rumors of that, but the way they did it just felt like they were trying to set something up for the future, maybe.
Or maybe they were trying to explain the fact that why they didn't explain it, that there are these things that can't be explained, and there's this agency that does. Yeah. You know, I don't.
And they would just leave hanging. I was thinking, I just think maybe there was something in the future they were thinking of doing where Section 12 might come into it. Maybe there's another episode. Maybe there's something.
Maybe it's but I find that
thing to add for no reason.
I mean, that's fun to theorize as a fan, but if you're talking about like evaluating the episode, you've got to take it as it is, and you can't decide that they're setting up something that, especially if you've never heard. Like, now, if there were rumors that, like, this Division 12 is going to be the hot new series, okay, fine, we can talk about that then. But I mean, I think that comes down to, like, I don't know. I just took it as like that's their way of explaining that. Yes, they're not only is this not being explained, which again, as a horror fan, I like when my horror is not explained, because I think the mystery of it.
Oh, yeah, the monster before you see it, isn't it? That type of thing.
Yeah, and you know, I do think I also really dug what's going on with Lon in that, and how there was a parallel. Oh wait, the one with in the cargo bay with Riker and them, right?
Yes.
Is that? I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I forget the name of it too, and I
Yeah.
just watched it like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm. There was a couple of Voyager episodes that sort of went into sort of leaning in horror as well, but it was always in a sci-fi way. This was full blown, like people in the background going,
Yeah,
and then you don't see anybody else walk like that, but it's in the
yeah.
background like a zombie.
Well, there was all kinds of stuff. There was one. The one that I noticed was they were walking down the hallway, and there's just a little guy up in the roof,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
little figure. I
Yeah,
mean, and again, that I think now my kid. I'm not the big horror fan. My son's a big horror fan, and his mom's a big horror fan
I
too.
think it was Schisms. I think you're right.
It was Schisms.
Oh, a couple
Excellent.
of
Well done. Jim is not a casual. He is a serious Star Trek fan.
There we go. Two people got it. Well done, boys.
Yeah.
Or girls. You could be girls.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think we both forgot the H in Schisms, but hey, we're not. I didn't forget any. I didn't remember any other letters. So who's but the writer, I got to correct the spelling. My kid's a big horror nut though, and the stuff that I appreciate with horror was all what was in the Griffin incident. Like I would have to imagine that like maybe your Freddy Krueger, Jason types, they would probably have found it boring because it didn't have that.
Yeah.
Scream, scary movie, slasher type vibe. I like the psychological thing where they do have the patience to just let it sit there and let the tension build. That kind of works for me.
Yeah. I do wonder. It can't be a horror because they can't go. They're trying to do something that would be like an 18 or R-rated for you.
Yeah.
But they can't go far enough because it's still Star Trek. So in that case, I can't sit there and go, this is kind of, I know what you're trying to do, but because of the rating you won't go there. And I'm almost feeling like either do it or don't. And that's where I think.
And yet, I seem to recall that people have been very critical when Star Trek does go far past its normal rating. People didn't like that. They didn't like the F words, which
exactly. So I just but my frustration was that I don't like horrors. I don't. But my video at the end of it, I said, if you like this episode, I ain't gonna say anything. I will just go, but because I could see that if you're a fan of this type of genre, you're going to like this episode. You just will. I know other people have come to me and went, "No, I love that episode. I thought it was great. It's fresh of breath, fresh of breath, breath air."
Take two.
And when they say fresh of, it's not.
It's a nice cup of tea, isn't it?
It's a nice cup of tea. It's not for me, and I found it boring.
I can absolutely see that if you're not into horror, that is a very boring episode because it's all atmosphere and I do think there was interesting character stuff too, just in general. Like I think the one thing that I really love, and I wish that Strange New Worlds would have done more as their way to
you don't have to read them all, by the way, mate. I'm just putting them up for the people.
No, I get it. And I have a take on that too. Hey, peace, man. The Kirk and Sam, Jim Kirk and Sam Kirk. I wish we got a lot more of them because in TOS we don't see Sam till he's dead. And again, I absolutely forgot until I revisited it just when coming up with questions for SDCC. I forgot that William Shatner in a mustache. That's who, when they showed Sam, it was just Shatner with a mustache.
Evil Kirk.
But yeah, so I wish I like that we got that bit of Sam and Jim Kirk and the thing about him trying to be a father to David and screwing up like that. Again, that is all implied. I think it's not maybe overtly implied in Wrath of Khan, but there is that line where he's like, "I stayed away, like you said."
And
so
of this episode, genuinely, me sick in my mouth a little bit was when Kirk, just as they're beaming over, went, "So let's go boldly." I was like, "Oh, you've got to."
Yeah, I mean, look, that
was bad. I mean, come on. And annoying critics got a point there. Why would you call this Star Trek? Why would you buy this IP to do body gore? It's
because since TOS, Star Trek has always been an anthology series. I mean, why would you do Fistful of Datas or the Western episode of TOS? They did comedy episodes back in the day.
When you've got 26 episodes, that's okay.
That's fine. Of course, I understand that. But that's just because they don't have the same number of episodes. Then if you're mad at that, blame Paramount. Don't blame the producers for telling stories that are interesting and fresh. Because again, in Voyager and Enterprise both, the primary complaint was that they aren't doing enough new things, that they are still just doing it's just a ship show, and we're tired of ship shows. We've already had ship shows. If we're going to see a ship show, we'll watch TNG. That is exactly what they were saying. You know, and again, the 90s were my foray into online fandom. I went to Usenet groups and AOL forums with Star Trek fans where Sisko and Janeway were the affirmative action captains. You know, I remember that's why I've been so critical, I think, of the tenor of sort of the negative response to this modern Star Trek is because one, it ignores the fact that this is a thing that they have always said. Every Star Trek fan, like every new Star Trek thing, has been hated by the fans. You know, again, my favorite story, and I wrote about this for CBR, is that in 1973, a group of fans picketed NBC, I think for like a week or something, demanding new Star Trek with the original cast. And because it was so popular in syndication, they greenlit the animated series. And before a single frame of footage was released, those same fans went down to NBC and picketed that they cancel it because it was going to ruin Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. No, we get that now. I'm releasing a video and arguing again that Stargate.
Okay. And you know, Michael, I appreciate what you're saying. And I love that you're supporting our friend Jay here. Put that money in his pocket.
Yes. Do so.
But what are the 100% conventions of Star Trek? Because I remember an old joke where you get 3 Star Trek fans in a room, you get 6 opinions about what's good and bad Star Trek. You know, there is no Star Trek episode that I think anyone can agree is good. I know people who love Spock's brain and hate City on the Edge of Forever. There is no platonic ideal of Star Trek. It has always been.
But the thing is, and I've argued this point a few times, when you've only got 10 episodes, it's very valuable Star Trek real estate. So I don't mind episodes like this. And with 10 episodes, I would say 2 a season can be quirky, let the crew do their imagination, blah, 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 right? But when you've got 3, 4, 5 instead of sci-fi, I think that's going too far. And I think the problem
is they all have sci-fi in them. This even had sci-fi in it. It didn't, you know, they didn't come up with ectoplasmic particles to explain the events on the Griffin. Like, would that have made it better? I don't think so. No. You know, and I think that
still not Star Trek to me.
Yeah. And I also, again, as someone who also writes both nonfiction and fiction, I think the idea that anyone has to earn the right to tell any story other than just finishing it, I don't buy that. I would argue they've earned the right to tell that story by getting the job, you know, and it is up to every fan can like or not like whatever they want. I have always said that you are never wrong for liking or not liking something.
My argument with the musical was that it was very self-indulgent to the writers. And I've seen a couple of the writers basically say that they did it because, you know, it was something they were dying to do. And I could tell the actors were having a whale of a time. And I would always point out that, like, the series, when they hit 100 episodes or 200 episodes, like Stargate did or whatever, then you have built up the, you know, a bit of credit with the fans that you can do whatever you want. And we might go, that
again, I firmly disagree. They can do whatever they want because storytellers, we can do whatever we want. That's the whole point of telling a story. We can do whatever we want, and it's up to the audience to react to it however they want. That is the compact that we have. Now, you guys are, just as you are not wrong for liking or not liking something for any reason, no storyteller is wrong for telling the story that they want to tell. And now we can talk about intention versus execution and whether that's done well, but we have to understand that is wholly subjective. You know, I mean,
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but don't writers, producers, I suppose more, also have a obligation to consider the fans, particularly when it's something like Star Trek?
Nope.
And I
disagree. I don't, because there's this idea, look, it's a great thing to say in interviews during press junkets. Oh, the cast has or the fans have ownership over this. We love our fans, but we don't own any of it. And in fact, for years, even since the very beginning, pissed off fans have been telling their own stories through fan fiction. That's what you do when you don't like it. You don't come out and say, oh, Gene Roddenberry or Rick Berman or Alex Kurtzman got it wrong. You just say, I didn't like it. And then you come up with your own little fan fiction where Kirk and Spock kiss instead of just be pals. Like that's, that's the thing, and this sort of gets to the sort of the larger topic where, Star Trek is on the edge of a precipice where it could fall over and tumble off into something. Exactly. Brian Francis, free to shut it off. And you know what? I also understand this. That's also not fair because if there is a Star Trek that I hated, and I've been very lucky that I've liked more of this new Star Trek than I've not. But if there was one I hated, I would still watch every episode. You tell me what, there's new Star Trek, I'm not going to watch it? Get out of here. Even I've watched episodes I hated twice back in the day. When TNG had episodes that I didn't like that were on, I'd still watch it. What else was I going to watch?
Because
we didn't have Netflix back then.
That was always the you always loved the characters and things anyway. So this is why I've never watched all of Discovery. It's the only series of Star Trek ever that I've not watched all of the episodes. Normally, at least twice.
Okay. Well, I think you have to watch every episode twice to really understand it if you're a Star Trek fan, because there is that thing where we react to it as a fan. And, when I before doing Discovery's final season, I rewatched the whole series because I hadn't done it. Now, technically, I did see it twice because when I review a show, I watch it once. Yeah. Then I watch it again and take notes. So I watch it twice back to back. It doesn't really count.
No.
Then I watched it again ahead of season 5. And, the things that I had problems with, I didn't have as many problems with, especially knowing that like the Lorca thing was coming. Like, unfortunately, the website where I did my episodic reviews of Discovery didn't survive and I didn't keep copies. So they're lost to the internet, unfortunately. But I remember in those first couple episodes, I was like, I absolutely acknowledged what my Star Trek friends were saying, that this does not feel like Star Trek. There is this fucked up vibe. There's this vibe that is not great, that is not typical Star Trek. And then 18 episodes or like 16, 17 episodes in, they reveal, oh, Lorca's from the Mirror Universe. And then that all made sense because, of course, the captain sets the tone. He's from a bad place, so the tone would be bad. And, again, I do think that watching it again can help you appreciate it more, especially if you're going in without sort of like preconceptions and prejudgments. But on the other hand, I do agree with what Brian said, that if you're not having fun with this, turn it off. Like that's the whole point of this, is to have fun. And while it breaks my heart to think that there are Star Trek fans not having fun with new Star Trek like I am, I also think that like if you're going to watch it and just get mad, don't watch it. It's not worth it, I
mean, I couldn't watch all of Discovery. I tried.
I get it.
The thing is, even in TNG, DS9, Voyager, because we got to know the characters, because we love the characters, even if it was a bad episode, you could still enjoy it. You could still enjoy the thing. Even De La Rosa.
I mean, that is a very 30 years after the fact take on it. That is a rose-colored, a sub-rosa colored glasses take on it.
I hated that episode. You know what? I don't remember hating that episode at the time. I just thought it was a bit weird. But again, it was Star Trek, so I accepted it blindly. But with Discovery in particular, there were no characters to like. So when it was a bad episode, it was just.
How do you make that determination? Because I like Tilly. I ended up liking Stamets. I like Culber from the beginning. Of course, Wilson Cruz. Some of it was the actor. I was like, oh, I like that actor, and that got me.
Yep.
Who else? I didn't like Saru at the beginning. I turned around on Saru, and I liked Lorca. I like Jason Isaacs, but I liked Lorca. I thought he was cool.
I like Tilly. But when it comes to a show, because I hated Starfleet Academy, I thought it was just awful. There was 1 or 2 episodes in there that the first episode I thought was okay, even though there's massive logical leaps in it I didn't understand. But I actually liked a few of the characters, and a lot of people hated Sam. I thought she was adorable, mostly because of the actress, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually liked the concept, even though, again, I would question possibly the logic of it. But I loved the concept, and I thought she was a great character. A lot of the other characters were in there, and the captain, Ake, grew on me. Hated her at first. I thought, this is stupid. She's not a captain. But as soon as I stopped thinking of it, no, she's not a military captain. She's actually a headmistress and a bit of a hippie. Then I'm like, oh, okay, this is more, I get this more now. And even though sometimes she was creepy, lying all over the settees talking to people. If I'm stood up talking to somebody and they're lying over a settee like this, I am going to go, what are you doing? Get up. I mean, this is just weird. And it was weird to watch. But I loved the character by the end of it. I thought she was great. When you get and in Strange New Worlds, on the whole, I think the characters are really good. I think they've cast it beautifully, and it's really interesting. It's the genre bending thing that is putting me off as a Star Trek fan. And I'm sorry, the writers and the producers should be at least trying to tailor the product towards the fan base. Because
that is what no other Star Trek show ever did, though. Like, did Ira Stephen Bear, did he tailor Deep Space Nine to TNG fans? No. It's the anti-TNG.
It still had Star Trek in it. It was still a Star Trek show.
You only think that because you grew up with DS9 and have accepted DS9 as Star Trek. The premier, I mean, if you look back at the
I'm sort of pleased about ST5 had a thought. Okay, sir. Thank you for the contribution.
Yeah. Nice. I love that's the one thing I think that is great, and that's why I love disagreeing with Star Trek fans. You know, as long as it's civil and you're not you're attacking like the point, not the people.
I'll kill you.
I think that's what makes Star Trek fun, is that we do get to debate this stuff. But if you go back and watch What We Left Behind, it's actually, I have it right here. So plug for the documentary, What We Left Behind, the Deep Space Nine documentary. I just was looking at it. They read the letters that they got saying that this is not Star Trek. This has no Star Trek in it. Rod Roddenberry said that Deep Space Nine is good sci-fi, but it is not Star Trek. So,
I
mean, is he wrong? How you think Rod? So you know better than Rod Roddenberry.
Oh, 100%. Are we seriously Roddenberry just because he's Gene Roddenberry's son is an expert? I've seen him in loads of interviews. I'm not sure I'm going to stop myself there because I'm going to be impolite to him. I don't know the guy, but I'm not sure I would take him down as he's a Roddenberry by name, definitely. Right? More than that, I'm not going to be mean. But the thing for me is Star Trek is DS9 is recognizable, and so is Voyager is recognizable as Star Trek.
But not then.
At the time. People didn't like it at the time because, yes, all right, it was based on a starbase, and people didn't get that. There was certainly...
They didn't like the war thing either.
But also, you need to get to warm up to the characters, which we didn't at first. I didn't like Sisko until he shaved his head, and I was like, oh, there he is. So, and I'm like, they changed the character slightly. And this is another reason why 10 episodes and writing them 2 seasons before they get released is a terrible idea, because they were able to adjust things. They brought in and they brought in the Defiant. That made it more Star Trek-y. But and I appreciate they didn't go visiting Strange New Worlds, so that was again different.
But they absolutely did. They went through the wormhole. They did some exploring.
I mean, not week in, week out.
Yeah.
A lot of it was more character driven, and then obviously the conflict, and then things like that. But the thing was, yes, okay, I look back at it now and it's identifiable. But at the time, I never thought it was not Star Trek. I just thought, and when it started, like TNG, like Voyager, it wasn't very good at first. They needed to find their feet. But once they did, 100% that was Star Trek. And for me, the best Star Trek, I still think DS9 is the best series. That's one of the problems I think we've got with the streaming model. They haven't got time to adjust anymore.
You'll get no arguments from me there. I'd take 22, 26, even 33 or however many TOS did of them. I'd take them all. But that is nothing I'm ever going to lay at the feet of the creatives. That's all the Paramount regime. And unfortunately, and you know, as much as we might have to say about the modern regime, it's the regime that
Oh, I hate the term Mary Sue. I'm going to be upset with you immediately. Starfelt again, a DS9 episode pandering, casting Corny as Dax. Screaming, prods out of canon, strange new worlds are needed, make it universe problem solved.
Tawny Newsome was a producer on Starfleet Academy. She co-wrote that episode
as well.
Why wouldn't she get to play a Dax? Why not?
Exactly.
She was Mariner.
And saying the thing I don't like about the Mary Sue thing is if that was you wouldn't question it. And this is one of the reasons I hate the whole Rey argument with Star Wars, is that Rey has virtually exactly the same story arc as Luke, but because it's a woman, she's a Mary Sue. I don't like that argument.
What about Anakin as a child? Like, we talk about Luke flying a fighter jet after doing dirt bikes. What about Anakin as a child being like, you know, being able to, and again, that is part, like, Star Wars is space fantasy, but I'm with you. And in fact, let's talk about Mary Sue, because you know Star Trek invented Mary Sue. Mary Sue, it was I'm so upset because I should remember it, but there was a fan fiction editor of a fanzine who wrote this fan fiction story about Lieutenant Mary Sue that was a send up of the common tropes of
I'm not gonna say he is right with that. They're not supposed to live that long. The symbiote's not supposed to live hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, is it?
Neither were Klingons when they showed up in DS9. How do you know?
That is true, because it was talked about in DS9 that they have a form of dementia or something eventually. The Dax, something like
maybe,
that.
But
forever.
You know, it's sci-fi. Like, people come back from the dead.
No, that's
true. You know, if you're not upset about every Spock appearance after Wrath of Khan, then you know, I would say you don't say it's wrong. You just it's a story that is not done yet. You know, and again, we can like it or not like it. That's a different thing than saying it's wrong. You know what I mean? Or that they screwed up or made a mistake.
In canon, though, that's what I'm saying. It is a change in canon.
Again, what is said by characters in canon? It's canon that the character said it, but that's not necessarily a fact. Like, people are wrong. People lie. People say things that aren't true just because, you know. And again, if we're going by canon, if canon is so important, I will hear your arguments about canon being rigid as soon as you can tell me definitively, using only what's said on screen in TOS, what year it takes place in. No, what century it takes place in.
I don't think you can.
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point. But we forgive it because it's TOS and we love it. And we act like it's supposed to be easier. Let me finish the thought, Jay. We act like it's supposed to be easier to keep canon straight when there's 60 years of stories behind it, when they didn't even bother to give a shit. They couldn't be ours to keep. See, I said we couldn't be ours. They couldn't be ours to keep canon right back in the 1960s when there was only 78 episodes. So spare me the canon is sacred thing. Canon has always been fluid. And if you think that canon is wrong, that is a lack of imagination, because I was a Star Trek fan before we had the Akuta books, before we had a definitive canon source. And we didn't talk about canon. We talked about continuity. And people spend as much time trying to figure out how to make it work than like one of my favorite ones is people say one of my favorite theories was that Kirk was lying to Khan about how long, because that's one of the time things. He says it's the 22nd century. And they said that Kirk was lying to Khan because I don't even remember the exact rationale, but it was like some stratagem with Khan and he was lying to him. And it doesn't make any sense, but no one was saying that it was wrong. And that's what I take issue with, the idea. Star Trek can't be wrong. Right. We can like it. We cannot like it.
The audience.
And if you think it's wrong, it's just a lack of imagination on your part.
I agree to a point in that canon, to a point.
And I'm not the definitive source either. Right. I can be wrong too.
Right. So I would say that I talked about this a lot with Stargate coming back, that I saw that a couple of the creators come in and did this Bible, and they basically decided, okay, what are the firm canon points and where can you be a little bit flexible? And I have no problem with that. But there are certain canon points that do matter if you're a Star Trek fan, because we're sci-fi nerds, we are geeks. But the other thing I was going to say is the we as viewers have become more educated. We are more savvy than we were. And unfortunately, back in the 60s, we weren't sci-fi savvy. So they weren't bothered. They didn't know. But and even in TNG and stuff, we weren't as savvy as we are now. But nowadays,
I would love to see your sourcing on that.
Well, we're more savvy. We are better educated. We understand science better now. Through the internet and things, scientific... I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody might have a little bit of knowledge. But we are better educated now. Technobabble does have to be a little bit more careful because we're a little bit savvier. As nerds, we're savvier than we once were. I mean, back in the day, in 1960, if you wanted to look something up, you better have a bloody...
Funkin' Wagnalls.
What do we call it? Thingy Galactica.
Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia Britannica. You said Galactica, not Britannica.
Now you just go quantum mechanics. That's interesting. Google. Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. They say we had another contribution. Thank you very much, sir. Word balloon. Mary Sue creates a hero where the writer is a hero that solves the problem.
Sorry, word balloon. That is not what a Mary Sue is.
Too cute to take seriously. I don't care about Tawny being cute.
And also, Mary Sue's are not. Mary Sue was not a criticism. Mary Sue is a self-insert fan fiction character. It is the writer inserting themselves as a fan fiction character, and there are rules of what a Mary Sue can do. It's that she's instantly beloved by everyone on the crew, that she is an expert at something, not everything, an expert at something, and that she dies in the end, has a tragic death in the end. That is what a Mary Sue is. And in modern parlance, when, you know, for lack of a better term, bigots decided to single out every woman character and every character of color, they decided to adopt the term Mary Sue to mean something it did not originally mean. And, you know,
I would, if I was,
you know what,
answer the character, I would write myself in.
Fair play, word balloon. You got me there. You see, absolutely, you know, absolutely, sure, why not?
You would as well.
I did, but that's not how you described it. So, but you did get me on a technicality. Well played, my friend. The one thing, I forget who it was that brought up the alt universe thing. I do want to just go back to that and just say that if saying with a canon problem or something, if saying this is an alt universe means that you have fun with it, I fully support that. Because they established there's an infinite multiverse, and in an infinite multiverse, there are infinite realities of like where Tawny Newsome is Dax in every form. Like you can, you know, with an infinite multiverse, anything is possible. Like it's sort of the Rick and Morty thing where like nothing matters, everything is possible. So I'm fine with the alt universe thing. If you can watch Strange New Worlds and just think, oh, this isn't TOS, this is something different. Awesome. I fully support that. Because again, the primary thing we're supposed to do is have fun. And if you're not having fun,
we'll get to that. So
what's the title of the stream?
Yeah, no, it's just the title of the stream is Star Trek in Real Trouble, and we haven't actually discussed that bit yet. But we're only 43 minutes into our argument. So
and sometimes we go through a degree for 40 minutes. So this has been a good one.
We haven't so far. But no, I think we agree on the principle of Star Trek. We just don't agree on how it's being currently implemented. But
yes.
But when there's a good episode, we can talk about it. But we both love Star Trek. We just have a different perspective on this. The one thing I was going to talk about, though, was that I mentioned to you the other day, I had somebody come to me from Star Trek who's funny as hell. I was hoping he would talk to me more, but I don't think I'm going to get to speak to him again. But anyway, he sort of was basically getting in touch and saying we need a bit of a call to arms because Star Trek might be in real trouble. And if the movie doesn't get made, that he, after speaking to and sitting in meetings, blah, 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 is generally the opinion that the boss's opinion is that they just won't do Star Trek. And this is something I think that a lot of bosses over at, for God's sake, Alex
Secret Hideout?
Secret Hideout. God, my lives are terrible. Over at Secret Hideout actually warned us about. They said, look, if we don't get like year one done, you won't get Star Trek for 10 years. And this is basically what this guy is saying, that actually there is no guarantee this movie is getting made as it stands right now.
Yep. I hope that whether we agree or disagree on what is enjoyable Star Trek, I hope that people are at least reading some of my coverage over at CBR, because I've been covering the movie thing from the very get-go. And I've been a little, and I think we even joked about this in commentaries that, like, when it comes to the movie, I'm the negative one. I'm the one that's like, good luck getting made, because there's been some 16 scripts. One thing I do like to point out, and we can, however you feel about Secret Hideout's tenure of producing Star Trek, in the past 10 years, they have introduced more new series than the entire first 50 years of Star Trek combined.
Yeah.
Over that same period, since Star Trek Beyond came out, there have been somewhere between like 13 and 16 screenplays for movies that have not made it into even the pre-production stage.
Yeah.
Like, and again, the only Star Trek movie, huh?
Yeah, Paramount came in and threw 2 movies straight out the window that were in quite advanced development.
Yeah. I mean, they were very clever at CinemaCon by announcing this new Star Trek movie. It's like, no, that's the one you told us about in November, and there was another movie with it. So really, you're telling us you just killed the.
You killed the other one.
I think that was the origin movie, the Kinberg.
Yeah. Well, there was the Kinberg origin movie, and then obviously the Star Trek 4 on and off development, and there was another film as well, but I can't remember what the. I think the
Quentin Tarantino one.
No, at the same time as Kingsburg, those rumors are something else. I thought it might have been mixing up with the Star Trek 4 rumors, because that was on off.
Well, there's been so many versions of Star Trek 4 too, because there was the one that was going to be the time travel one with and I would say that nowhere is that happening in Star Trek. Again, I would imagine that if you think identity is a problem, well, I don't want to make any assumptions or aspersions, but one, identity has always been a huge part of what Star Trek is and why it's important. And secondly, there are very few real world identities, specifically LGBTQ and racial or ethnic backgrounds that have been the substance of actual stories. They've just existed in the thing. They still do the allegory. Like, for example, you want your LGBTQ allegory, it's the I think that we can make a case of Una's trial being about that.
I'm not sure that's what Sean means. You'll have to get into the comments and tell me, because I
please
mean that as it's like gender identity or something. I took it to mean like the identity of the show and being. I think he could.
I maybe was being very uncharitable, but I get, in my defense, I get a lot of that in my Twitter mentions about people saying "go woke, go broke."
I mean, depends on how we're taking the comments. Go on, get into the comments and explain.
Yeah.
That actually,
and I also don't blame people who say that, because there are the people who know better. There are people pushing that line in a very disingenuous way by playing it like they're, that gets to, and we've talked about this in the past, the sort of like bad substance of
I love that comment. It's like Kirk and the
it's a very. I think I know what you're doing, annoying critic.
Actually, debate is important, because it does get things, and even though me and Joshua will be having a punch up after this to resolve the argument. I was saying that I think the whole thing identity, for me, when my instant thought was that Star Trek does have an identity. But you can't just do that. You've got to have a story that goes with it. So I think he's almost agreeing with you in a way.
Oh, then if that's the case, gee, I mea culpa. I'm such a jagoff then. I'm so sorry. Yeah. If that was it, because first of all, if you're agreeing with me, obviously you're a person of taste and intelligence.
He's another comment which I won't join, but he's not happy that that's what he joined immediately. I just think that's not what I jumped to when he said identity. I think he was more meaning that, exactly.
I'm sorry about that. In my defense, I hear that a lot. Identity meaning the fact that there's gay characters now and that there's a lot more women.
We've already had a lot of comments tonight that I would disagree with. I will never say that anybody's wrong and your opinion is as valid. And to be honest, the whole woke thing, I got really angry about when it first started. I was just like, well, for one, that's a disgusting use of the word. That's not what it means. And you've just acquired that word, and I wasn't happy about it. But over time, I've sort of been convinced by not the people that shout woke, like blind.
Insidious.
by the people that are thoughtful and actually go, yeah, but I have got a problem with this, this, and this. And a lot of the time I'm going, I can see where you're coming from. All I would argue is when we've had TV shows or movies or whatever, where the writer's view does go into propaganda, does go too far, they're generally not very enjoyed, and we generally forget about them. John Wayne did like 500 movies or something. We only know 10 because most of them weren't very good. But generally speaking, we've always had movies that we would now consider to be woke. And some of them are good. I think the writer does tell his story, does say what the thing he wants to say, and he should. Some do it better than others.
I agree with that. My two thoughts, my two things on that are: one, the most egregious offender of using Star Trek to advance their socio-political ideology is Gene Roddenberry and Gene L. Coon.
100%.
Those guys, like they, and then people are like, oh, they didn't beat us over the head with it. Yeah, I would urge you to watch A Private Little War or Let This Be Your Last Battlefield or any number of others. I think those just get grandfathered in because they are saying things that we have come to understand more generally. And I think that what makes the woke thing so insidious is, again, Sean, not to pick, but words don't mean different things to everybody. Words mean what they mean. We can use words in a way to encourage a different meaning, but woke used to describe progressive political ideology is one, a misappropriation of the term, and two, used as a way as a dog whistle to hide things that if they were honest about, you would go, wait, that's racist though. And
something like woke, it becomes an umbrella term for lots of things. I think
I mean, and I as much as I do love the idea, because Star Trek taught me that differing opinions are good and should be entertained. There, I believe, is a limit, because if your opinion is that, trans people aren't real, that's not an opinion I can brook as being okay. It's because it's the idea that
I'm not sure that's a compliment.
I don't think it is.
It's a very
Your Honor, this whole court is out of order. I would have probably got Data turned off though. If I'd have been in Measure of a Man, Data he'd have been sunk.
We'd have been or if I was his lawyer, and I'd be like,
and I do think we've kind of gotten on the weeds. My point is that I do understand. That's why I draw the distinction between you like the Star Trek and saying that it's wrong or whatever, because liking and not liking something, that is a conversation we can have. You don't like horror. I do like that kind of horror. We could talk for another hour about just why those things are good and why they're bad, and we would each be like, "Oh yeah, I see." But if there are there are certain other ways you could go about it that shut down conversation, that try to paint things as right or wrong, and I don't think that's constructive.
But I'm sure you've had the same thing though. That I have had conversations with people that do say this is woke, do say that's woke, and have some quite unpleasant views, but they can articulate them. They do come at it.
I've yet to find someone, and that might be my bias, but I've yet to find someone who is at all thoughtful that uses the word woke unironically.
No, I genuinely have, but it tends to be I've seen stuff in shows, even in Star Trek. The example I used was Picard season 2. Raffi and Seven are walking, and they're trying to, I can't remember, they're walking through a car park, and they literally just stop and basically go, racism bad, and then carry on with the story. And it was like somebody had hit the story on a nail, on a hammer with a thumb. And I'm just like, that stood out so badly. That was just ridiculous. That added nothing to the story. They've done that just to make a point. And I
think I know the episode you're talking about. They're hunting Girardi, who had just been taken over by the I don't remember them stopping and saying racism bad. I remember them.
I am obviously putting it into less words, but
in a way, one might think that you viewed that scene uncharitably, and in trying to describe it, you then perhaps weren't exactly fair in how you described it, And again, like it, not like it, we can talk about it. But you said it didn't add anything to the story. And while I'm, it's not fresh in my mind. I guarantee you, if I go back and watch, I believe it's episode 7 or 8. No, I think it's 7 that you're talking about.
I think it was early in the season, though, but I can't remember. No, it wasn't.
See, the only reason I know that I'm not that ill, it's that I get 6 episodes for review all the time, and I'm pretty sure after Girardi Turns was when I had to wait 6 weeks to find out what happened. So it's either like 7 or 8, I think.
The way the episode worked, though, it was more of like a almost like an editing thing or something. It just sort of was story, stop, make this point, story. So it stood out unnecessarily, but it did make me go, what was that about, sort of thing. So again, it was just written badly for me. But again, this is all subjective; it's all opinion.
Yeah,
it was just written badly for me. And I think there has been a few things, and not just Star Trek. I think across the board with a lot of television nowadays, that the quality has overtaken quantity. No, quantity has overtaken quality quite a bit. And
again, as someone who professionally thinks about this stuff all the time, we are in a golden age of television. There is the vast, I would say your fair to middling shows are just, if there was a way to compare them, just of a general better quality than your average like in 1990 shows. Yeah, but because we look at 1990 shows with nostalgia and with youth and stuff, it doesn't feel that way.
It's not even that as much as the point I was making about John Wayne movies. We remember the good shows. We don't remember the other 100 shows that were terrible. And there have been lots of shows that have just been forgotten to time because they were bad. And I think, so there's that old rose-coloured, I always try to say rose-coloured testicles, rose-coloured spectacles thing. For one, we have got another thing. I'm 35 minutes back on you talking about horror movies, the one who was really funny, and those like Brain Dead created by Peter Jackson. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. It was one of his first movies. What was it called? It was fantastic.
It's like the puppet one, right?
Oh, I was thinking he meant the aliens one, where they're one of the aliens gets cut in half by a chainsaw. Anyway,
no, you're right. Yeah,
else here, and then something else in America, to be honest, because it was like released with no money. It was absolutely fantastic. But thank you.
So Peter Jackson was like a low rent B movie director. And then just out of nowhere was like, oh, he's going to make the greatest Lord of the Rings movies that will ever exist.
You might have met The Frighteners. It's not the film I was thinking about. The
Frighteners, that is such a good movie. It's such a good movie. I love that movie.
He made it himself with his mates. It was literally his first thing he'd done, and he had like no money.
Yeah, I thought that was the puppet one, but there might have been one before that.
Gonna look it. No, I'm not gonna look it up. But as soon as I get to the comments, you remind me what it was.
Yeah, that's the great thing about lives, is that the viewers, even if whether they have the smarts or have the Google handy, they help us out. They're absolutely associate producers, all of them. But to circle back to what I was saying with like following the movie and stuff, I have been writing for a long time. If you go back and read my stuff, wherever I talk about the history of Star Trek, I kind of always hit back on that experience that I brought up when I was talking about Enterprise, the fact that I took it for granted. Like I took Star Trek for granted. It when I was a kid, the second movie that I remember seeing, first movie I remember seeing, Return of the Jedi. Second movie I remember seeing, Search for Spock. And I vividly remember walking in and still getting the seat as the scene of Spock dying is playing on screen. It's 1984. We don't have I don't even think it was out on video yet. So that was news to me. I was like, what? I'm sorry. What happened to Spock, my dog? But then, so I have had the TOS movies, TOS in 1987, then DS9, which even that I confess that one took me. Jake Sisko was my way in to, because I always liked Wesley. I was never a Wesley hater. But Jake Sisko, I was like, that's a kid I recognize. Like Wesley was a super kid. Jake was just a kid, but that was my way in. Then Voyager, for whatever reason, I just loved Voyager from the jump. Yeah, that one was always just, I was like, this one's mine. And maybe it's because like my mom's an OG Star Trek fan, watched it as it aired in the 60s. And we watched a lot of the new Star Trek together when I was growing up. she kind of didn't give a shit about Voyager, and so that was like my Star Trek.
Yeah.
But Enterprise, I remember the moment I thought, I'll catch the next one. This is great. I'm happy for Scott Bakula. Love Quantum Leap. This will be in reruns. I'll catch the next one. I'm 20 years old. I'm going to have some fun now. I don't have time for Star Trek. And then it went away for 12 years on TV. Not as long in the movies, but you know, those Kelvin movies, I didn't love them. I did not love them. Like I loved what they were doing for Star Trek in general, that they made people interested in Star Trek. My kid didn't give a crap about Star Trek until we went to the Kelvin movies. And now today, the kid, TOS, even thinks TNG is whack compared to TOS. You know, so even my kid's wrong about Star Trek.
Yeah, you need to give him a slap, really, if you want to.
Yeah.
Like,
but
feel the back of my hands, young man. Right, for legal purposes, do not hit your child, Joshua.
Yes, please don't. If you
reasons, don't. Nobody hit child. Joshua, can we both agree that Kurtzman needs to go? I'm not sure Joshua's going to agree with that statement.
I mean, I don't. No, no, I don't. I can't. I don't think we can agree on that. I think that Star Trek can survive Kurtzman going, but I think that again, when I said that I'm happy with what overall we got the past 10 years. I mean, one, because we got Star Trek again. I didn't think we were going to get Star Trek again. The fact that like it is unprecedented for a franchise like this on television, especially, to come back for a third successful wave. And again, we can talk about whether it's good or not, but there's been Star Trek on our TV sometime more than once a year, every year for the past 10 years. That is a win. No matter how you look at it, for a series that was canceled by an incoming new Paramount executive regime that said Star Trek has been beat to death, it's over. We got Star Trek again. That when they were going to launch their streaming service, they didn't turn to Taylor Sheridan and his stupid rich cowboys or whatever the F. They turned to Star Trek, you know, and foolishly, they listened to what the fans were saying about Voyager and Enterprise, and they tried to do different stuff, you know, and then
we had the same with Stargate,
you know. And I look, I also don't think. Oh, go ahead.
Guys, get into the comments, say whatever the hell you like, but if you start calling people names, you will be removed. And that's it. All right. I'm not seeing any more. If I see any more, you'll just be removed. All right. Be nice. We're allowed different opinions. That's the end of it. Sorry, Josh.
I am being very assertive, though. I understand if I get people's backs up this time. No, and that's because, as the title of this video says, Star Trek is in danger. And whether I get more Kurtzman stuff that I like, or we get whatever you all and Jay think is going to be the ideal Star Trek that will come next. I want more Star Trek. And I've been saying for years that Star Trek makes Paramount more money when it's not in production. People like to point to this reason or that reason for why they're ending, you know, maybe not renewing Kurtzman's deal and ending the TV shows as they are now. But I think the reality of it, and I've written this for CBR a couple months ago, the headline is "The Real Reason Paramount is Dismantling Star Trek's Historic TV Run." Yeah. I think that's the headline. And where I break down the that is also fair zeitgeist ruminator. That I can see that too.
Contribution again.
But again, just let me finish the thought real quick. Is that Paramount right now, if as it stands right now, without even talking about the merger with WB, Paramount has something like, was it like $13-14 billion in debt, and they just had their debt, like their credit rating, like if you buy the debt for Paramount, the rating's lower, so it's going to cost them more to borrow money. If the WB merger goes through, they will get, oh God, what's the number? Is it 73 billion in debt?
Over 50 billion pounds.
Okay, so maybe that might be 73 billion. I think it was like something like $73 billion. Whatever the total was, it's in that article, and it's more than twice the combined 2025 revenue of Warner Brothers and Paramount put together. So Paramount, Paramount is now, especially if the Warner Brother deal goes through, Paramount is a debt management company, first and foremost. And if they get Warner Brothers, like right now, Star Trek, unquestionably, the oldest and most profitable franchise under the Paramount umbrella. So that is why it is so important. That's why they're all in on this movie. Because the biggest Paramount losses over the past few years have been box office flops, Dungeons and Dragons, Transformers. The last, 3 Mission Impossibles, which Mission Impossible is supposed to be their $1 billion baby. All of them lost money. And Tom Cruise, I think he effed off to a different studio, didn't he? I think he's at Warner Brothers now, so they're gonna get him back.
Agree with you on the debt. It's massive. They have got Saudi billions behind them, and they have paid off. Paramount merger was paying off a significant chunk of the debt.
No, not at all. This is the debt after the merger. This is the debt after the merger. I went deep.
They went up to, I think they put in or injected about 4 or 5 billion. So they owe in pounds. Sorry, so in dollars, it's going to be 30% more, isn't it? But I think they owe about 9 billion now, whereas at one point they owed 15 billion pounds. So at one point they'd have owed nearly $20 billion, and now they owe about 12 or 13 billion dollars.
That tracks with what I vaguely remember.
Warner Brothers is about 55 billion pounds, which would be, you're right, 70, 80 billion dollars. They're going to owe roughly in the area of $100 billion, which is what they've just paid for it. So they've effectively bought 2 companies for $100 billion, and now they owe $100 billion as well.
And when, at least with Warner Brothers, they like Star Trek is now no longer an important franchise. Star Trek is a franchise that maybe they won't just put it away. They might sell it off to some other studio.
Yeah.
Right. And I know people think that might be good, but not necessarily, especially the way they break up movie and TV rights. I don't know if we remember that in the very beginning, the movie side of Star Trek and the TV side of Star Trek were owned by different companies. We couldn't have the continuity that we grew up with because CBS Viacom split. And so, yes, I am not surprised that you were told by someone apparently who has knowledge of it, and I take your word for it, that this person does. I don't know who you're talking about. Whoever it is, they just aren't even connected. Maybe they just read my articles, because I've been saying this for years, that Star Trek doing well is a win, because even if you don't like this Star Trek, supporting the one, again, you can talk your stuff, you can trash it like we always have. But the thing that the people did at TNG that made it work is they still tuned in. It's still got ratings, because you're not supporting Kurtzman Trek. You're not supporting Starfleet Academy. You're supporting the next attempt, which might be Star Trek United. It might be some movie you like it might be someone else. Now, to circle back to Sean's question, Kurtzman needs to go. I won't say we agree with that. I do think that it would behoove both Secret Hideout as a company and Paramount as a studio if other people came in on Star Trek. I don't know why, because I think that's part of how the Berman era sort of fell apart. Whether it's burnout or just a creative bottleneck or something. You need that new blood. The reason we love Enterprise season 4 so much is because Manny Cotto came in season 3 and was the Star Trek fan. And
need to mix this up.
And in fact, Ronald D. Moore, same thing. Star Trek, he came in season 4 of TNG because it was because he tells that story about coming in after Best of Both Worlds, and he's like, how do you think Picard escapes the Borg? Whoever was writing it.
Let's leave it there. Just very quickly, Dylan, apology accepted, mate. No bother, we're passionate, but let's not make it personally. The thing I would always argue is, I think all Star Trek fans, you might hate Kurtzman Trek, but we're Trekkies. We will come back. When the movie comes out, we will all be there queued up, hoping. Every episode of Strange New Worlds that comes out, I'm hoping it's going to be good. And sometimes I'm very happy, and other times I'm like, oh, God damn it, they did it again. My main reason why I think Kurtzman must go is Section 31 was a badly conceived project from the beginning, and at some point somebody should have gone, this is a bad idea. Yes, it is the Goldstein and Daly thing. They sound like magicians, and here on stage, Goldstein and Daly.
I mean, now the Dungeons, they're the Dungeons and Dragons guys. That movie wasn't bad. It just it didn't it didn't perform. And I'm mostly nervous, not so much about Goldstein and Daly as creatives. I'm very nervous about the brand new era, brand new characters, brand new ship. Like, I love that for a show, but for a movie, I mean, I don't know, especially in this box office landscape. You know, I mean,
I would put money on that this film will bomb at the cinema, and I would put money on it, unless they by some freak manage to keep the budget around $100 million. This movie will not make money at the cinema.
I mean, I would love to see it at 75 million, but yes,
yeah. But the thing is, I think a lot of movies now in the streaming age, and I know this because I got to speak to people that sort of do this for a living, they're not that bothered. If a film breaks even at the cinema nowadays, they're quite pleased because they make their money on digital release.
Well, there's always been that second life, like since DVDs and home video. There's always been that sort of like second life.
It's more now. Streaming is where it's not real money in a way. I'm not going to say anyway now, but they're not. He-Man.
I would love to. We could talk about the insane Hollywood accounting that is. Streamers paying themselves money and going into debt.
Well, He-Man made about $100 million at the cinema, and they will make a sequel. Because it's already made its money back on streaming, then they're more than happy. Well, they basically spent what they would on a streaming movie and got the cinema moves money, and then they're getting their what they wanted.
That's like what Amazon did, I think, with that He-Man movie. Now, I don't know for sure if we're going to get that sequel, and it may be a much lower budget sequel, which again, I think budgets in general lower than budgets, man. Like that's for whatever our problems are with certain storytelling choices. One of the reasons that I argued for bringing Terry Matalas in as your Star Trek guy is that he knows how to ball on a budget. The Star Trek Picard season 2 was supposed to be, the reason they did that time travel thing was so they could use locations, which would be cheaper than building sets. Of course, then COVID happened and it wasn't cheaper. But that means he had even less money for Star Trek for season 3. And he not only got the whole cast back, we got the Enterprise back, for an episode and a half. I think that like that's why Star Trek always worked in the past. Like Paramount wanted Star Trek to chase Star Wars, but it never came close box office wise. And, there's that famous story that after spending $40 million for the motion picture, which still turned a profit at the box office, what's his name? It was either Michael Eisner or Katzenberg, one of them old Hollywood big name guys, was talking to the producer Harv Bennett and said, what'd you think of the Star Trek movie? He's like, I was a little bored. He's like, could you make a better movie? And he said, yes. Can you make it for less than $40 million? He says, I can make you 5 of them for that. And he damn near did. Like, if they could make the next Star Trek movie with, again, this would be a crazy budget given inflation stuff, but let's say $50 million. If they could make a movie for that much money, it would come out guaranteed to make money basically at the box office. And then of course, as Star Trek, do well on streaming, because even Section 31 charted on streaming 3 times since it came out. First time it hit the Nielsen things, but then twice in Paramount. It was number 8.
Then Nielsen.
Huh? It was number 8.
No, it didn't.
I'm pretty sure it did. Number 8 for original movies.
Or sci-fi or for Paramount. It never got on the top 10.
All right, well, do
you mean just Paramount? Or do you mean the top 10 Nielsen rating?
Well, it definitely got in the top 10 Paramount ratings.
Paramount, yeah. I mean, number in the top 10 for Paramount in its first week is a bloody given. it really should go in at number one. It's a Star Trek, you know, or even Academy went in at number one for its first week.
The Paramount Star Trek Film Section 31 ranked 8th on the Nielsen Top 10 streaming chart for films during the week of January 20 to 26, 2025. Don't test me, Jay.
I'm astonished.
Your boy knows his facts. Oh,
I'm astonished, but I mean, it dropped like a brick off a thing though after that.
Okay, so now it's got to be on there for a week. Like,
no. I'm sort of. I suppose it's series. The only time that Paramount had got on Nielsen was that Picard season 3 was in Strange New Worlds season 1 got top 10 Nielsen, I think.
Strange New Worlds 2 and I don't know if 3 got on, but 2 definitely did.
Picard season 3 was,
Discovery even made it, I think, in the very end, because Nielsen, the way they do it is they measure the entire show. Like if you stream the entire show, they, you know, that's why those Taylor Sheridan shows do so well, is because they're so long in between. People will go back and rewatch the whole season the week stuff comes out to refresh. So that's why they that's the Nielsen. I find the Nielsen streaming system very dubious. And let's not pretend all these studios have meticulous data. Oh, what are you looking at, Jay? Where did you go?
No, I'm looking at that. 170 minutes, number 8 overall on the streaming movie chart for 3 days. And then it dropped out.
Well, they do it by week. It's by week.
No, because it wasn't in the second week. It was only in the first week, but it had only been on 3 days. So that's actually a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. It made it there.
Days and then dropped off a brick. But I mean, we know that because we're Star Trek fans. We watched it. We wanted it to be good. But then word of mouth, I think, spread very quickly that it was.
Okay, I just seem to remember a big thing about getting on the Nielsen ratings being so important for certain other things. It feels like moving goalposts just a teensy bit.
No. I'm actually saying that's impressive. 170 million minutes in 3 days is actually very good.
Yeah. And then now I don't think it got back on the Nielsen charts, but no. It's weird. Would it still be an original or would it be acquired by then? I don't know how that would work. But it did show up in the top 10 Paramount movies in I think April and then in July of that year too. People watched it is all I'm saying. And I think that the biggest disservice that happened to Star Trek that did not happen in the previous era is that it's behind this Paramount paywall, because I don't know about you, but people I know, they find Star Trek either just flipping around channels and they'd be like, oh, what's this? What's this Ferengi ear looking guy? What's this goo guy about? And then they discover Star Trek. Star Trek is, it needs the audience has to find it. There's an audience that has to find it, because all of us who love TNG they're not all people who love TOS, and people who love TOS, some of them still don't love TNG, and the people who love that don't love DS9. There's the Voyager people. And I think that putting them on this streaming service did not do any favors, because especially since, and I'm sure you've heard this, that the Paramount or the former regime, the mandate was make it different, bring in new fans. We need new fans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not,
this is actually what Secret Hideout pitched to them, and they agreed. The pitch from Kurtzman was that he thought they could bring in a newer, younger audience. And Paramount went, yeah, let's do that. But then how that was then done is on Kurtzman. And I'm sorry, Section 31 was badly conceived, primarily because very early, they were going to do a series. Michelle Yeoh went, oh, if I just won an Oscar, I can't do a series. Well,
nope,
okay, we'll do
that's not what happened. Paramount wouldn't pay for the series. That was all Paramount.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, her time frame just kept getting shrinking and shrinking. Yes, I know, I do appreciate it. But then they were going to do a mini-series, and they had a script for the mini-series. And then it was just
I never heard about a mini-series. I heard there was a pilot, then they started writing, they were waiting for the series pickup.
I think they even talked about that because after it was released, they were talking about how there was a feeling that it was quite clunky in some of the story, and there was, it's because they basically took 4 episodes and brought it down to a movie. That was talked about at the time. But either way, Michelle Yeoh wasn't even on set half the time because she was off doing a million other projects. The writing was bad. They basically forced doing a movie into what would be equivalent to 3 episodes or something on filming. It was at some point somebody should have gone, we can't do this. It's not. It does. It's
Again,
not
I'm curious about like how you, because what I heard, and this is one of the few times where I've talked to people who have knowledge of the production and the Paramount's thinking. This was Michelle Yeoh's baby. They were not going to do it. Michelle Yeoh insisted upon doing it. I don't know about, I didn't hear anything about not being able to get a schedule for a series. I heard that Paramount was only ever willing to do a movie, and they were not willing to do a full rewrite. They only allowed a rewrite of the the end.
Yeah, I'm talking about over about a 3-year period though, or 4-year period, because initially when she left.
Okay, so you're talking about during the development when she was still on Discovery, because this was always going to be up after she left Discovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Was going to be the Section 31 thing.
What she was initially contracted to do was a series, and then it was like, well, we can't do a series. Let's look at a mini series, and then
why? But what I think you're breezing over is the fact that 3-year period we're talking about is when it went from boom to bust, Paramount financial wise, because when Section 31 was part of it, when it was like Lower Decks, Picard, Prodigy, like they were just pumping out as much Star Trek as they could. The plan in that 2020, even I think maybe even shortly, even still during the pandemic, I think the plan was to eventually have enough Star Trek on that 45 weeks out of the year there'd be new Star Trek on Paramount Plus. But then movies started flopping. Paramount Plus started losing money. Affiliates stopped paying as much as they used to because their ad rates were going down. Again, I documented all this in my financial article. Like there is, if you look at the 3 years that we're talking about, Paramount was losing money from a lot of things, and Star Trek was one of the few things that actually kind of brought money in. And again, it's hard to pin down how that works, but especially they started licensing the movies out again, and it went to HBO twice, and I think it went to Amazon for a while. Star Trek makes them money. And I think
about the Michelle Yeoh point, they offered to let her out of the contract, and she said no.
Yeah, she used her Oscar juice to make this movie. That's the way it was put to me.
And that's the mean though that I genuinely think
no. Stacey Abrams is just a lady who was a Star Trek fan, who was a political person. Do I agree with her politics? And I don't even know her politics. I used to be a political reporter, and I didn't pay that much attention to her, other than she did a great job of voter registration, which I think we can all agree as Americans, voter registration is a good thing. But yeah, she was just a lady who came in for one scene because she was a Star Trek fan. I'm not pressed by it. Was David Cronenberg miscast? I take it you don't have a problem with Cronenberg showing up and becoming a series regular practically. I mean, come on, man.
I know why they did it. I thought it was a bad decision, but that's fine. That was not the thing about that episode that I was irritated by. So we put that way. But yeah, the whole thing with Section 31 it was badly written. It was.
But hold on, I'm sorry. That gets to the uniquely American thing that I'm talking about, where this critique of Star Trek as on a quality level is so intrinsically tied to a certain side of our political spectrum here in America, where on one side Stacey Abrams is a villain, and on one side Stacey Abrams is a hero, and she's just a lady. She's just a lady who ran for office, who you can have your feelings about one way or the other. Again, as a journalist, I don't like any of them. I never liked any of them. But she's a Star Trek fan, and that's my favorite thing about her.
Well, from a British person, I don't care. I actually had to Google who she was because I know there was a bit of a stink about it. But also I thought, why is this lady that clearly can't act on Star Trek? So I had to Google, and I was like, oh.
I mean, it's like Mae Jemison.
I was going to say when the astronaut was on it, that was the same thing, and I had to Google her. Because I was like, why is there somebody that can't act on Star Trek? Oh my God, she's an astronaut. That's amazing. That's so cool. So yeah. And
there's been others. And I'm not mad at you, Sean. I'm not. It's just, it all fits in a certain theme of things that I have been, when I remember my first comment on my reviews for that site that no longer exists. on Discus for Discovery was from someone whose name, if I said it, you would be able to find a very prolific, well-subscribed YouTube channel under that same name. Was it that guy? I don't know, but it was. But the comment was, "Oh my God, I can't believe they made Star Trek political now."
Yeah. Yeah.
And since then, it is awesome. And that's what I'm talking about, Sean.
Yeah. I think Section 31 was a bad business decision. I think at some point somebody should have stepped in. I actually think that Prodigy was a very bad conceived idea. I think I enjoyed it, but it was not what they were trying to do. I think it was badly conceived.
Yeah, but you know
no, shut up.
Oh, sorry.
There's lots of decisions creatively that I look at the time and I go, Kurtzman is directly responsible for that. And there are things that he isn't as well, though, because I mean he's not responsible for the bad episodes of Strange New Worlds. He just isn't. He was very involved creatively in Starfleet Academy, and it was pants. For me, Lower Decks, some people hate it. I adored it, and obviously Kurtzman had nothing to do with that other than going, Mike McMahon, go. So there are bad things. My main problem with I think Kurtzman is that the Star Trek is under his watch. I don't blame him personally, but under his watch is horribly inconsistent. And that's my problem with it. You can watch an episode they go, okay, that's pretty good. And then they watch the next episode and goes, what the hell was that? I never had that with TNG before, or DS9. I never came away from an episode going, I don't know what I just watched. That was all bored. You know, even if there was a bad episode, the next episode, I'm like, right, let's crack on. This thing, I'm almost like dreading the next episode because I don't know what's going to come. Is it going to be an entertaining episode of Star Trek that I can enjoy? Or actually, for me, my favorite episode, hands down, isn't really a Star Trek episode in a way, you could argue. It's Those Old Scientists. That's a comedy, quirky episode. It was done brilliantly. And it was really funny. My favorite episode by a mile. But then they do something else that's just stupid, and you go, that's not funny, it's cringy. And I don't ever remember that with Star Trek before, and I've got to put that down to the boss. And it is a bit like politics where you blame the leader, or a football manager where you blame the manager, and I totally appreciate that. But when something has failed quite as dramatically as Star Trek has failed, you've got to go, Kurtzman, I'm sorry mate, you're to blame because you're the boss. And you need to move on to something else. And even if you love Star Trek, surely you've got to admit it's been divisive. Now you can speak.
Again, I find it no less divisive than using AOL back in the day when, again, as someone who liked Janeway and liked Voyager, I was definitely in the minority, especially because primarily DS9 fans dominated those spaces. And there was like, if you like DS9, you usually didn't like Voyager, and vice versa. Like that was what I remember. And again, that was back then. But Star Trek ages well.
Sorry, we're saying then history is going to be the judge. We'd have to wait 10 years and then look
I
back.
absolutely think yes. Okay. I think that, but okay. I think that's one side of it. I think that just like with DS9, just like with Enterprise, if Discovery spends 5 years on Netflix, then we'll have some more interesting data, because I bet you people will find it. I mean, when it was on Amazon, wait, what was it on Netflix and Picard was on Amazon, or was it the other way around?
No, internationally. So here, Discovery's first 2 seasons, somebody can correct me, was on Netflix, and it was actually advertised as a Netflix production. Amazon, 3 seasons of Picard were here, and so was Lodex.
Okay. So, but again, from what I understand, that like that, it was received on those platforms much differently than it was on Paramount Plus, because the people who came to Paramount Plus for Star Trek are the diehard Star Trek fans. And with any new project, you're going to get maybe 50%, if you're lucky, at first. And then, I guarantee you there will be people, just like there are people now who some will even admit it. I didn't like DS9, I didn't like Voyager, but I like it now. And I think that even with your account of TNG, I mean, again, I remember watching excuse me, watching those bad episodes. And I wasn't like, oh, okay. I was like, I waited a week for Masks, you know, like I love Masks now. I just wrote about why I love Masks now. Like because there is a thing, you know, and I think I noticed this with Lost. I started watching Lost it on streaming. I was like going back to back to back to back to back. And then I caught up by like season 5, watched season 5 live, had to wait 6 months. And then I watched season 6. Hated the end of season 5, hated the end of season 6. And then my kid was like, I want to watch Lost. And so I immediately did a rewatch. And having done that rewatch, I was like, oh, I didn't dislike the show. I disliked waiting a week and then being dicked around for 40 minutes to find out what was in the goddamn hatch. You know what I mean? Like it was, I think there is a thing about we as Star Trek fans, whether you see that you don't know what you're going to get as a good thing. I don't know what we're going to get. And every time I look at it, like I'm excited by that. You don't know what you're going to get and you dread it. And I think that I don't think it's accidental that I tend to like it more and you tend to be disappointed more. I think that in a way, especially as you talk about how we fans are savvy and have this experience behind us, I think that we have gotten to a point where we can make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, if I didn't, I almost wonder if there was a way that I could like convince myself that like, oh, this next episode 7 is going to be bad. I'm just going to like, I wonder if I could trick myself into not liking episode 7. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to have fun watching Star Trek. But I feel like there might be something there. Like I think I would love to poll your viewers too, both in the chat now and watching this later. How many of you, and be honest, how many of you went into something planning not to like it, an episode or a series, and it changed your mind? I would bet not often. Because I feel that
I will answer that for you. 2 things. For one, I actually think they should put on the Nielsen ratings not just minutes, but actually as sort of like almost need to come up with like a percentage. So if there's a capable of, if you've got 1 million subscribers or 10 million subscribers, if that 1 million subscribers gets 1 million minutes, that means every single subscriber watched a minute of that show. If a 10 million subscriber thing gets 1 million minutes, that means 10% did. So I think
I like it.
A way of judging whether a show's done well or not. I don't know if studios do that or not. I do know somebody that does this for a living. I need to ask them because they give them so much information when they do these demographics. Like 2 weeks after every episode, they get this like splurge of information. So I'll have to look at that. But I mean, Paramount would know what's good minutes for them though.
Yeah.
So when they look at their minutes, they will go.
Well, with their own, I would have to imagine they have access to like data on the infinitesimal level of like who we are, where we watch, when we pause, you know, like
all that almost instantly. How many people?
And I feel like the Nielsen thing, that's now just for like bragging rights at this point.
Nielsen,
which is why I'm dubious about what a role it plays.
They put a little bit on their website. The stuff they actually give studios is bad. The thing on,
and it's expensive.
Oh yeah, no, it is to do these, and there's 4 or 5 new digital sort of companies that have popped up in the last few years. Yeah, and there's like 3 or 4 in Canada. There's 2 big ones in America, and all they do is digital analysis, and they use AI to look at comments and
they do that's what your Parrot Analytics and Flix Patrol are the ones I get e-messages from a lot. And
to do it even more than that, but anyway, the point I'd say about, I became very aware a long time ago that trailers should not be judged. But trailers, they're there to get us excited about a project, to make us go, oh, I fancy that. But I've been burned too many times. I will watch a trailer and I hate it. And I know if I go into a movie, my expectations are up here, and that movie is here, I will come out disappointed. But then I watch it on a video a year later, and I'm like, oh no, I really enjoyed that. Why didn't I like that at the cinema? I don't get it. And it's because it was here when I was hoping.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Star Wars, the sequels.
It's not.
I got spoiled. I followed spoilers like you wouldn't believe because I was crazy. And I was also not doing entertainment as a job then. I was still doing regular like political journalism. And so any chance I got to not think about what I was writing about, I would go. So I was all over the like Reddit spoilers thread. So I I knew everything that was going to happen, and I knew a bunch of stuff that didn't happen. And like, so I went into that first movie knowing, and spoilers for a now 10-year-old, 12-year-old movie at this point, that Kylo Ren was Han Solo and Leia's kid. Han Solo dies. Luke's in it for one scene, doesn't say a word. Had I gone in not knowing that, would I have liked The Force Awakens? I think I probably wouldn't have. I think I'd have been pissed off because I would have wanted to see lots more Luke. I'd be mad Han Solo died. And, I probably would have felt some kind of way about Ben Solo being Kylo Ren. But going in knowing that, I was able to, it wasn't even about expectations. I was just able to like accept that movie for what it is.
Yeah.
And
that's like some projects age like a fine wine, though, don't they? And cars.
Yeah.
I remember there's a Jag over here that got released and everyone hated it. And now we look back and go, actually, that's a damn good looking car because it subverted expectations.
Yeah.
Series do that. We look back on Enterprise now way more fondly than we did at the time. I would say TNG, people fell in love with that quicker. DS9, people fell in love with it by the third season. Voyager, they did by the third season. Enterprise, I think they fell in love with it about 10 years after it was released. I don't think that's going to happen.
I may quibble with your exact dates, but in general, yes, you're right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I would even say Voyager, because Voyager, I remember feeling very much in the minority of being a Voyager fan.
Jerry Ryan turned up. So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
But also the Borg episodes and stuff, they were just much, and the show kicked off then. Well. What it does mid-second season, third season, boom, gone.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of forgot about that, but you're right. Jerry Ryan joining was like, that's when like I would see Star Trek on like Entertainment Tonight or something.
Yeah,
Star Trek was like making the news.
It did genuinely get better as well. And yeah, Sean, Cisco and the goatee. If it wasn't for a
what do we call it with Riker growing the beard?
Riker growing the beard.
Yeah, just add shaving the head and you got
yeah. Geordie becoming head of engineering. Randomly. They just corrected the show and they can't do that now. Made that point earlier, didn't we?
Also, isn't this shaved head season? Isn't that also the same season Worf shows up? I think we're bearing the lead with the fact that Worf was on DS9 all of a sudden.
It might have been as well, actually. But I feel like it was the season after that.
It might have been.
It was around the same time.
Yeah.
So it could have been. What I would say though about trailers, and I'm going to throw Star Trek in this as well. When it's a series, and you do get a preview, you do get a trailer, and it's something that you've known for a while. When you see the trailer, you do get those fears. You do get that, oh crap, they're doing that again. Tomorrow's episode makes me think about the murder mystery episode. Makes me think about, to be fair, a few episodes. And the murder mystery one's the main one that jumps into my mind. I was looking forward to the murder mystery episode. I thought, that's a brilliant idea. This is going to be Spock, Data on the holodeck kind of thing. This will be really interesting. I love that type of Star Trek episode. I saw a couple of the clips and I'm like, crap. I see the clips for tomorrow and I will try to go into it with an open mind, but I've got several years of Kurtzman in Trek that is informing my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing it boils down to is I've enjoyed more of the comedy episodes than I've not enjoyed, and I feel like the opposite is true for you. And I imagine that those patterns are not going to change.
My favorite though episode, and it's episode I would say is genuinely brilliant, was a comedy episode.
Yeah, you're right, because
generally,
but in that one it was a comedy episode in the way, but you love Lower Decks, and that was like Strange New Worlds as Lower Decks.
Yeah,
because
100%. Yeah,
I mean, it was very much, the comedy was very much like in the Star Trek vein of things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's in my, I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite. Like, I mean, it might be recency bias, but Terrarium is still very high on my list but again, also Enemy Mine, one of my favorite movies as a kid, and that's Enemy Mine as a Star Trek episode. But I love that one.
I like, but that's probably the only episode I love. That's probably the only episode you have to watch one episode of Kurtzman Trek, and I'll be good. That's one I'd pick. I'd be like,
you know what? You said that before, and I did a list of, I think it was like 5 episodes of like Star Trek episodes to watch if you're not a fan. that would like maybe make you a fan. And that's the only Kurtzman one I put on there because you'd said that before. That you would even I would even say if you're not a Star Trek fan, watch this one episode.
I convinced somebody of something. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The one. So we'll go back to the movie, and then we've got about 20 minutes, I think, at maximum. Then my butt stops. I've not needed a wee yet. What the hell?
Yeah.
I had a bit before this died.
My light died.
The tachyon pulse catheter is working maximum.
You're beaming your urine out of your bladder.
Oh no, I've thought about it now. Damn it.
Oh shit.
The one I don't need a shit yet. I've had 2 today. Anyway, too much information.
Congratulations.
I had my tea last night, and it is cleared me through. Anyway, way too much information.
Here, I froze for you.
So the movie is not nailed on, according to this person I've spoken to, and I again have no reason to disbelieve him. And I think that's just common sense to be honest as well, because no project until basically we've learned through Batgirl, even when they filmed it, it's not nailed on. That's very, very, very rare situation to happen, though, to be fair. But
and to Paramount's credit, they could do that with like Starfleet Academy season 2. They could just write it off, never show it. And it doesn't seem like they're going to do it. I mean, they are talking about Starfleet Academy season 2, like it's still going to happen. And that is, especially knowing how in debt they are, I will give them the new regime kudos for not choosing to do that.
I think the thing is with that though, I don't think they've actually got a choice in a way, because they've kind of already paid for it. So the way this is a bit complicated, and I don't 100% understand this, but speaking to a guy that does business or accountancy for one of the smaller studios, he sort of said the way he understands it is because it's part of the deal with Secret Hideout, Paramount have already paid for it as part of the deal. They don't pay for it on the back end. So it's not Paramount that can get the tax write-off, it's Secret Hideout that get the tax write-off.
I don't think that's correct at all, because the way the write-downs work is you would write it, you would say that you have to, it works as you say, this is an asset my company owns and this asset has no value. And the thing that makes this really shady is that the decision to never release it is what makes it valueless. Yeah. You know? And so
I didn't quite understand him, if I'm honest.
That would be Paramount getting, like, Secret Hideout is essentially a subcontractor. Again, I could be wrong, but this is my understanding. Secret Hideout's a subcontractor. They got paid for it. What they got paid is what Paramount would be writing off by not showing the show.
Yeah, I just think,
and it's the reason. And I think they won't do it for 2 reasons. One, because it's not like David Ellison needs more bad publicity. And 2, everything that I've ever seen from that guy or heard from that guy, who knows what's in a person's heart, but he seems like he really does give a shit about making movies, making shows. He's not like that David Zaslav guy that thinks, Sister Wives or some reality show Drek is the same thing as like The Godfather in terms of IP that WB owns or whatever.
If you look into Dave Ellison's entire career, he is very passionate about creating something. Yeah. From his time as a failed musician to his time as a failed writer to his time as a
failed actor. He was, the first movie he was in was some plane movie where he was an actor.
Yeah, he is definitely wants to be something creative. Yeah. I just hope there's very serious business people. Well, we know there are very serious business people behind him.
Yeah. The thing that I wonder, and I think you're with me on this, is that I don't know if a movie of brand new characters like that might get all of us, like the Star Trek fans. Like, if it was the Discovery movie, if the movie came out and it was Michael Burnham, you wouldn't get all the Star Trek fans showing up for that. Some of them would pirate it though. They'd be watching that cam so they could shit on it more accurately. But no, I think the brand new thing that like it's completely unknown, that's gonna get all the Star Trek fans. But and this has been said of the old regime, the old even before that, like Star Trek fans, we are small but mighty. We are not big numbers. They need to bring in more than just Star Trek fans for this thing to be a hit, especially if they're going to give it Kelvin movie style budgets. Again, God, if they could do it, $80 million, just $80 million. I mean, I know how you feel about the TV side and Section 31, but if they could just, I swear to God, if they took like if they made 2 episodes of TV, like that's it's what, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million for 2 expensive episodes. They made that their movie. It would make money by accident. They would get, but I don't think that's, I think that might be what certain people who are in charge of Star Trek at Paramount might want, the people at the lower level. But I think that your David Ellison tier and that high top executive, I think they want Star Trek to save it, to be like their Star Wars. They want it to be $1 billion movie. And look, I love Star Trek more than maybe any of my other big fandoms. Like I love the superheroes. I love my Star Wars. I love all of it. Love my He-Mans. I like my Stargates. I didn't stick around for all the Stargates, but I liked them, the ones I did watch. But Star Trek is my favorite, and I don't think it could. I just don't see it ever making $1 billion at a box office. I would love to be wrong. Oh, I hope I'm wrong. God, if it.
But they'll use it to kickstart a franchise. I think they'll almost do it like a money loser. I don't think the attitude will be.
I would be fine with that too. I would be fine with that too if they.
It's just got to reignite and re-excite the fan base, because the fan base is so divided. It just is. And
I mean, I think it always has been, though. I think it's just we are more aware of it now. We're more aware of it now because we have Reddit, we have YouTube, we have social media.
Yeah. I don't disagree with actually that social media is a big reason. It's because almost every fan base is massively divided because of social media, because of hate clicks, because of all this. I do agree with that.
Well, and just I think that's part of being in a fandom too. Like how many, at the comic book store, I was in Marvel fandom and I was fighting that Spider-Man could beat the Hulk. And they're like, no, the Hulk can't beat, like there is a division baked in, huh?
I just think that as a Trekkie, somebody that Star Trek, loves Firefly, loves all these different franchises, but was always a Trekkie. I don't like what Kurtzman has done with Star Trek. It's not for me. And I say the lack of consistency, what I would argue some incredibly poor decisions, the genre bending stuff with Strange New Worlds. It is a very focused decision from the beginning that they've decided this argument that Star Trek is a genre all in its own. No, it isn't. Well, we can argue that all day, but that they've decided we'll do Star Trek as almost a background thing. I think these are very poor decisions. I think that's why Kurtzman's got to go. The thing about the movie that worries me, they've got to not expect this to make money. They've got to almost do it knowing it probably won't be doing very well at the cinema, because we all know every other bloody movie that goes to the cinema that we think is going to do amazing doesn't, and the Spider-Man of this world now are very rare. It just doesn't happen. Every year there's like 2 or 3 movies.
I mean, the Odyssey did all right too, but that was purely people like that was purely like a Chris Nolan thing. Like,
and a lot of the time we just don't know what's going to do well at the cinema.
Right.
It feels like, unless a movie's like a kid's film, it feels like they just don't.
But even those are hit and miss. There was like, because you had the one. I was just gonna say we had like you have like your toy for every Toy Story 5. There's a, some.
It doesn't seem to make any bloody sense, to be honest.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Well, it's the one thing that I think, and I think that the one thing that's very interesting is this year was the first year that Star Wars chased Star Trek, because Star Wars put out The Mandalorian Grogu, and like Star Trek, that is a character who got his start on television. That is very much like TOS to the TOS movies. And just it did respectable money adjusted for inflation for a Star Trek movie, but for a Star Wars movie, it absolutely ate shit. And I think that's because people, but then as soon as it hit paid video on demand, #1 with a bullet. And that's because people are used to watching their guys on TV, just like with Star Trek. I think that's why Star Trek didn't always do so great in the movie theaters, especially come 2016 with Beyond. People were like, I got a 78-inch TV now. I'm gonna watch. It's 4K. I'm gonna watch Beyond at home and pause it instead of paying all this money. Yeah. And then the other thing too,
it's affected it as well. People just got used to staying at home. I think there's an element.
Yeah. Well, and inflation. I don't know what it's like over there now, but if I were to take my kid, the kid's boyfriend, my mom, and myself, just 4 people out to the movies with snacks at night, that is more than I pay in a month for all my streaming services.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be about 130 quid here for 4 or 5 people to go to the cinema. It's about, to go in an evening when it's busy, it's about £20, £18 a ticket. Your popcorn and that is another tenner each.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so you're talking at 30 quid each to go to the cinema. You can go during the morning, it's only like a tenner, and popcorn still costs. So yeah, it's expensive to go to the cinema.
I stay going to matinees myself. Yeah, and even renting it on TV, like here, I think it's like $8.99 or something, $8.99 to rent it, and you get it for 24 hours. You can watch it as much as you want.
That's
cheap. That's
great for a new film here.
I mean, I don't know. I might be making that up. I might have just pulled it out of the.
A brand new film here would be best part of £20 to watch it at home on the home cinema.
You know, maybe $14.99 for a brand new film to rent. I don't know.
Yeah, we pay a lot more than that.
Because I bought Mandalorian Grogu on digital when it came out, and it was only $19.99. So that's crazy. If renting it's $14.
Cinema here is about £20 because some films you can get when they're in the cinema as well, but that's rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the movie. So what do you think the chances of, say, something like Star Trek United? Because I know from what I've been talking to people that there doesn't seem to be any plans for Star Trek United as it is. My understanding is they can't greenlight it until the Kurtzman deal actually officially ends anyway, which is now the end of the year. Do you think that is something they should go for? Do you think we will get a TV series before the cinema movie?
I mean, the United thing has really gotten me. I guess it makes sense because Enterprise ended ignominiously, but isn't that exactly what people say they don't want? A legacy character set like, you know what I mean? It's just it's not Alex Kurtzman, and because we have this thing now because of, I would say, the way certain agenda-driven media commentator types, not present company excluded, target people as like the villain and the reason, and having like this malicious intent towards fans or the property. I mean, come on. The one thing I think we can all agree on,
Star Trek, is
no one's going to spend 10 years of their life working on a property that they hate. You know, so whether Kurtzman is a Star Trek fan in the way that you want him to be or not, again, we can debate it until we're green in the face. What was my point? Oh, that I think that, you know, I don't think that I would love to see United. Of course, I would love to see United. Give me more Archer. Give me the formation of the Federation. You know, the writer, producer behind it. I like what he does. Yes, he loves Star Trek. He's got the credentials. Give it to me. I'll say, give me that. Give me year one. Give me section 31-2. Give me all of it. Because, like I said, I am optimistic about the next thing. Now, I am an easy win for Star Trek. I think that, and I wrote about this at the beginning of the year, where I look back at my Section 31 review, where I was one of 8 people to give it a fresh review. And I think I gave it the highest numerical score, but that's because I think the numbers are bullshit. The numbers are bullshit. But I look back at it and I realized that I was doing the exact same thing. I think Star Wars: The Acolyte had an agenda the way that every sci-fi story, including Star Wars: A New Hope and Star Wars: Return of the Jedi, had an agenda. Yeah. You know?
At the end of the day, we do need to remember that writers do go into these things.
And not for nothing. I mean, look, Leslie Headland, she passed the Revan test. She knew about Legends. Like, I remember all these people talking about, you know, like, who's Revan? Tell me about the Old Republic. Legends is the real canon. She knew about all that stuff. And you hated her, like they hated her anyway. The show was bad before the show came out.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a Wookiee Jedi in Star Wars Acolyte. If you can't have fun with a Wookiee Jedi, absent everything else, that is not Star Wars problem. That's my feeling.
That was terrible. But
Sure.
I think
I do think Star Wars Acolyte also did not do themselves any favor by cards down storytelling. They should have told that story linearly. It should have started with all the Jedi, with Trinity Jedi and all them in the beginning. Like, it should have just progressed in a linear story. Because when I was at the University of Pittsburgh studying writing, author Chuck Palahniuk came and did like a lunch with my one fiction class. And he gave us this advice that I've thought about for a very long time. It's that you can tell an odd story, or you can tell a story oddly. You can't do both usually. And I think that
yeah, I was just going to say though that I didn't.
I'll say the name that I don't want to speak aloud is in that list. Sorry.
That I didn't like the Acolyte. I thought it was terrible.
Yes.
But what people need to remember, when people say it's got an agenda, what they really mean is it's got an agenda that I don't agree with. That's what they really mean. Because particularly in sci-fi, the writer is almost always telling you a moral to the story or thing. And people will say, oh no, they quite often have both points of view. No, they don't. More often than not, they tell you one moral and they tell you this is right and wrong. And I'm sorry, but Star Trek, all the way through from its concepts, is telling you what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, just the way the Federation is built, to the way the Klingons are built, the way the Romulans are built, they're telling you right and wrong. Some of the 7 deadly sins of bloody thing. And anyway.
I mean, I think there is some element to that, because especially in the TNG era, they got to the point where they were like asked, like the allegory were these questions that don't have an answer. Like, why are we here? Is this the right thing? Like there were some ambiguous ones, but it was never like, well, racism might be bad.
No, it was never that. No, it was always.
I mean, and the one I point to a lot is A Private Little War, because that is an anti-Vietnam episode where Kirk does what America does and is wrong for it. Like, and the episode makes it very clear by having McCoy get in his ass the entire episode about why he's wrong doing it. And then, like, the very end, I forget what the quote is. It's so great, but he's like, I've had enough of this place. Like, he just is sick of it.
Yeah.
But the to circle back to the idea of like Kurtzman or not, like, I just want more Star Trek. I want it to keep going. And I also am fine with people taking chances. I'm fine with people giving me exactly, like, give me TNG season 8. I'll take that. Give me the Griffin incident as a series and call it Star Trek. I'll take that. Like, I want, the thing that I've loved best about Star Trek is how each new thing surprises me. You know what I mean? And when I first watched Enterprise, like, the first time I watched Enterprise was when I was in Iraq. Like, and I think it was those episodes where they were like doing the War on Terror one, season 3. It was like a real, is this fucking play about us kind of thing? Yeah. But I mean, that's when I was like, oh, Star Trek, they did it again. And like, I've loved that Star Trek surprises me. And I understand that there are fans that don't. They want Star Trek to feel familiar. They want it to scratch this particular itch. And, we can talk about whether it could ever successfully do that or not, because the one thing it'll never do is make us teenagers again.
The one thing the rose-colored testicles is an issue. Yeah. I reckon it's the same with music. About 14 to 24 is when it's imprinted on our brains. And I like this.
Yes.
And now this can be harder when difficult.
That's a bad example, because from, 1990 to 2004 is when music was the best. That's when it was.
So I turned 14 around 92. And music just started to get good around 92.
Right.
And then I turned 2002. And weirdly, it went, dance music and shit started then. And I wasn't so keen. So who knew? Maybe that was just.
You know what? I mean, I was 94 when I turned 14, and I'm with you on the dance music shit, but no bullshit. I just put together a playlist of like Eurodance songs that I remember like nostalgically now. Like a little bit of Venga Boys, a little bit of Alice DJ, whatever.
And the bus is coming.
Boom, boom, boom. I want you in my room.
No. No.
I would have thought you would have been over in Britain. You'd have been there, like doing all that.
Big fish, little fish, cardboard box. Big fish, little fish, cardboard box. No, I never got into that. I never got into that genre.
Yeah, the techno's when you'd go to the bar, get your drinks refilled.
Yeah, throwing shapes on the dance floor, trying to pull the ladies. Look at the lady. Does she look back? Nope. No. She looked back. Hello. Yeah, no. The thing about Kurtzman for me is, like, as I said, I think he's burned through too much goodwill. I think there's just, if I was Paramount, I'd be like, we need a fresh start here. This has gone wrong over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And I can see that from a business point of view. They would do that.
I also can see that the business point of view thing too, 100%.
The movie. Hello. The movie, I think, is Babe Ruth stepping up. Like,
yeah, hold on a second. Sorry, to yell at my AI.
One day she will be our overlord. Be nice.
I know. Look, I never talk to her hard. I'm gonna apologize. But I'll be like, look, baby, you know, I didn't mean it.
A bit of a stroke and the thing. You know, I love you. I always say please and thank you to my AI. Don't know why. But the movie is Babe Ruth stepping up to the plate and sticking the bat out, and it's either going to be stupid or it's going to be the savior. What
a great metaphor, my God! Because if Babe Ruth if he hadn't hit the home run, they'd be like, "What was that asshole pointing at?"
But they are really getting behind this. I hope they don't do silly budgets. They must know this isn't going to do amazing at the cinema. Comparative, it's not going to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I think it is at a point where it needs a refresh. I think we are at that Enterprise time. I don't think it's fatigue from Star Trek. I think it's fatigue from not very good Star Trek. But I spoke to an analyst about a year ago when I started first hearing rumors that Kurtzman wants to get a new deal. The new bosses weren't going to renew it. And he said he's pretty sure they'd have renewed his deal if they'd have done Star Trek for 30% less. He says if they'd have put the budget more around $6-7 million an episode and had a bit less CGI and blah, 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 because he's pretty sure Kurtzman would have got another deal. He's pretty convinced that he got a second deal. And I don't necessarily disagree with him.
Yeah.
I actually, looking at the viewing figures, me and you have had this conversation before, the viewing figures aren't as bad as some people make out.
Yeah.
Section 31,
especially given how relative success is for Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Like the biggest hit on Paramount Plus is a flop on Netflix or Max, you know?
But yeah. I just don't say, you look at Strange New Worlds, it actually compares, because I did a video and I looked at it, I did think about it from a percentage point of view. Strange New Worlds matched up to anything Star Trek's done when I looked at it. Do you think new Star Trek can be a blockbuster? No.
I mean, I want it to be. Does that count?
Yeah.
I
did look at Section 31's numbers, as we did. I know it started well, but it went off a cliff like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. It did not get rewatches at all.
Except it showed up in the top 10 in April and June.
Well, yeah. But also,
someone was watching.
Discovery, compared to Star Wars, actually didn't do that badly. And it did appear back in the top 10 just before Starfleet Academy dropped. So these are shows that, viewing figures-wise, haven't done that badly. I think there's been some very poor business decisions. Yeah. I think there's been some very poor creative decisions. But the argument that these shows have bombed at the cinema, bombed on Paramount Plus, is just not true. It's not true.
And, you know, I want to call back to someone had the comment about put Discovery's first episode on CBS and that it didn't do it, like lost to some CW rerun. I would love to check those numbers because I know CW rarely beat any of the big networks, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I am also saying that the first, unless they really go all out to promote a series premiere, you're not going to get your best ratings right away. Like some shows start big and then they peter off to the finale, but other shows will start off small or start off decent and then they grow. Like
Yeah.
if you look at, I'm trying to think. I did one for Lost.
Yeah.
Lost started big. It was a huge hit, and then it went
Yeah.
up, went up, went up, went up, went down, went down, went down, went up, went up, went up, went up, went up, and then it just continued to go down.
Yeah.
Which is also the same time that streaming started, and you could download episodes, and those things weren't tracked.
It's quite common for any series to peak, even when they look at those popular series like Friends and something like that.
Yeah.
Peaked at season 7, then dropped off 8, and then 9 and 10 increased again. There is generally a flow to most series that they lose a bit of tracking and they improve again.
And I also think that like marketing has changed in a way, because the way you would market something 20 years ago is not how you do it now. Like, you know, Spider-Man, the one thing that I would love to see is like, how did Spider-Man market? Because everyone showed up for Spider-Man, you know, and then the Odyssey, like, I didn't see much about the Odyssey, and I look for that stuff. So, you know, I
negative before it dropped. There was a lot of negativity out there. I was going to say on the disco, I think they had the best opener. I'm doing this from memory. Sorry, I think they had the best opener. Strange New Worlds was really close. Strange New Worlds has consistently been relatively good, even though it did drop in season 3. We'll see what season 4 does. Discovery, though, pretty much dropped season on season. It did season on season. But there was rumors going around that Netflix wanted to get rid of Disco. They were so angry at the deal. I think they signed a 3-season deal, and they tried to get out of it after season 2. It's not true. Netflix would have quite happily kept Discovery on there. Paramount triggered some clause deal and dragged it all back to Paramount Plus.
I think that same thing happened with Prodigy. They didn't want more Prodigy. They weren't going to pay for more Prodigy, but they'd have kept it. But Paramount wanted to start that 3-year clock, because if it's the same as it was for Marvel. Once you get pulled off Netflix, a 3-year clock starts, and then after 3 years are up, then you can put it back on your own streaming service. So whenever Prodigy left, do the math. That's when it's going to show. 3 years later is when it'll show up on Paramount.
That'll be because Netflix paid for it, so it'll be something. The thing is with the Daredevil and that was because they pretty much paid for it.
Right. Anything that they finance a season for, and they technically paid for season 2.
A moratorium or whatever you'd call it, to say you can't have it on Disney for 3 years.
Right.
So part of the like.
And they paid. You said that they had the Netflix original for Disco too, right?
It did. I think they had the international rights for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they would have paid. They would have paid towards it.
Yeah.
But they had the international rights for it. But it seems like that apparently when these things go on streaming, they tend to do 24-month deals. So they tend to, when Netflix buy something, they tend to buy it for 2 years, and then they renew. They don't, sort of thing.
And Netflix, they don't even they don't look at like Nielsen the way Nielsen does. They go with completion rate. Like if you have a show that has 10 million views, but people stop at episode 5, and then you have a show with 5 million views, but they make it all the way through the season, that's the show that's going to get renewed, not the one with the 10 million views.
Yeah. So there you go. Somebody appreciates it. We're having a proper discussion.
What up, Doreen? I like your parrot.
I don't argue that I hate Star Trek. I'm just honest about what I see. And if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. And if I like it, I'll tell you I like it. But I do feel sometimes, and I have to catch myself sometimes, I watch TV differently now. Particularly with Star Trek. And I'm sure you probably understand where I'm coming from. I look at it through the eyes of a critic.
Yeah.
And I can't help sometimes but go, well, that doesn't make sense. And whereas before, I think I'd have let shit go. Now, I'm a bit more nitpicky.
Especially, I mean, do you see things and go, "Ooh, that cost a lot of money"?
Yeah, I do. With
like budget stuff.
The Star Trek thing annoys me though, because I think there's a lot in there that's just not necessary. But I always say, look, hey, Star Trek's very pretty under Kurtzman, always has been. The production value's there. But now I'm doing videos about Stargate returning and them being, and I'm saying, don't spend the money. And I've been saying that for years, to be honest. Don't spend stupid. We don't need it. We would quite happily. There's one of the, you probably, I don't know how much you watched it, but there's Rodney McKay in Stargate Atlantis. Somebody came up with an idea in their career, so they just said, just have him back on Earth arguing with his sister or going slightly crazy because the character was a bit mental. And And they said, just have him basically sat in a room for 3 or 4 episodes and then turn it into more of a sci-fi. As they go, oh no, he's right. Get him on the entry, thing. Those first 3 or 4 episodes would cost nothing. And they'd probably be our favorite episodes.
Well, you remember, that's what Enterprise almost was. And Enterprise was supposed to end season 1 with the launch of the NX-01. That whole first season was supposed to be them on Earth.
I didn't know that.
Doing Earth shit, yeah. And Paramount was like, you get them in space immediately.
Well, Paramount did a lot of things to mess that show up. The whole temporal war was not their idea, apparently. That was forced on them by executives.
Yeah. Well, again, it's that same Kurtzman situation. They wanted something new, and the temporal war is what they came up with. Like they didn't want it. Like, and again, it's so funny too, because people now are like, bring back Brendan Braga. And it's like, really? Him? I remember what y'all used to say about him. I mean, I think there is, as a critic myself, like, the way I look at it is what I want people to do is, one, I hope that people will read my stuff consistently enough that they feel like they know me. And
right.
I think that, like, when I tell you what I like about a Star Trek thing, like, I don't know, I guarantee you that if you went and read my positive Starfleet Academy review, Starfleet Academy or Section 31, you would read that review, and everything that I say I like, you'd be like, oh, I don't think I'd like that. That's me doing my job, I think. I don't think I'm supposed to, because I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to do stuff, and there is a branch of criticism where you can get into technical proficiency, intent versus execution, and right and wrong, and that's fine. I like reading that stuff. I mean, look, Ira Stephen Bear is famously said he is not a Star Trek fan. Like, he's famously said that he wanted to be completely different from the Roddenberry thing. And we love him now, which is great. But, I've heard from people how important it is that the people working on Star Trek be fans, And I mean, it's not like Nicholas Meyer, writer, and director of the 2 greatest Star Trek films, was not a Star Trek fan when he started. That'd be crazy.
I think it comes from our emotional brain, so isn't it? Because when we see, like all those Star Trek actors, like like Shatner and McCoy and all these characters, we want them to be friends off stage, really. And they're best friends, really. They might hate each other. That's us putting our things on it. So I've got the same argument with Stargate at the moment, and I'm getting a bit of flack for it, because I'm saying I'm not sure I'm that bothered about, because Martin Gero used to work on Stargate. He had a project done, and they've cancelled it. And I'm like, maybe it just wasn't very good. And people have sort of kicked off. And I'm like, just because he worked on Stargate before doesn't mean he was going to do good Stargate. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It's nice that a creator understands the thing. And I always said, bring in Brad Wright, who does know Stargate as a captain to ride the ship, sort of thing. That's fine. But actually, new blood, a new idea, it's not a bad thing.
You know who was responsible for, like, the direction that Discovery took? Not Alex Kurtzman.
No.
Star Trek Voyager veteran Brian Fuller. He was behind the Klingons. He was behind a lot of the stuff that, like, because when Kurtzman and them came in, they were too far along on a lot of Discovery stuff to change it. And I have heard so many oblique references to what happened with that replacement of Brian Fuller. And there's an interview he gave with the Decon Chamber, I think, that talks about that, and
not a happy
whatever. And again, he's going to put himself, like, he sees it the way he sees it. But the reason that Kurtzman got the deal he got was that Secret Hideout came in and saved that show, that first season. And then he was the one that was like, we're going to bring in the Enterprise at the end, and the next season will have Pike in them. And then, like, there was, but then you see people like you said, he's the leader, so he gets that flack, but would I have liked to see Brian Fuller's Discovery? Of course. Make 3 different Discovery pilots. Let me see them all. We'll vote on them, for fuck's sake.
By the time we started filming, though, Secret Hideout, it took
Yeah, but they didn't have the budget to like redo the Klingons or redo the ships and all the design work and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the development was done. They could have redone the Klingons very easily. They could have done the day before filming, gone, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, have you ever heard the actors talk about what it was like to be in those suits? Like, they suffered so much for us, and we were all look. Even I can't defend them Klingons. I love this shit, man. I can't defend those Klingons.
I don't think it's a shock to say either the Klingons in Discovery Season 1 looked a bit like the Klingons in the J.J. Abrams movies. So I don't think that's a coincidence. And I think they don't look like normal Klingons in the J.J.
They don't. Neither of them do. You're right. But I feel like the Kelvin Klingons were closer to. And then my favorite is that Stranger Worlds is like, here's these Klingons. Remember them?
Yeah. I love when Lower Decks took the piss out of it.
Yeah.
In between. Was just confirming that Kurtzman Trek isn't Prime Universe. Get in. Dude, it's gone 9 o'clock here in the UK.
Oh man, we
could talk
it
for another
barely felt like an hour and 15 minutes.
Easily we could talk for another hour, but I'm losing my voice from shouting over you.
I know. I really went hard this time.
You get going, sir. Well, we both do.
Because we love it. Because we all love it, and we love people who love it, and I want to save it. Whatever it looks like, whether it's Kurtzman or someone else, I want us, like, let's just keep letting Paramount know that it's worth it for them to make new Star Trek.
And that's what this chap that was sort of got in touch with me was basically saying, that actually he even referenced sort of the hashtag Save Stargate campaign, and he said, we might need to start something like that. And that's basically what he was saying. This actually, the Star Trek fan base, I'm trying to remember the right words he used. I'll paraphrase. The Star Trek fan base is so divided, a big chunk is actually shouting out for no Star Trek. We want a break. We'd rather have no Star Trek than this Star Trek. And he says the problem with that is you might get what you wish for.
And there's no guarantee that it comes back. Like, I don't think the other thing I think people don't realize is how unlikely this third wave was. I mean, TNG was the first television sequel series to outperform its predecessor. Before TNG, a television sequel series was a guaranteed loser.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Star Trek has defied the odds before. So, yeah, it might come back for a fourth wave. But we can't bet on it. We can't count on it.
No. Absolutely not. I mean, we're going to get a refresh. We're going to get a reboot, but we need to make sure that this new regime at Paramount understands that Star Trek does matter. Even if you don't love everything that Kurtzman's done, and I'm putting myself firmly in that category. I do not love everything Kurtzman has done with Star Trek, and I still have a little bit of vile whenever I think about the musical. Sorry, just do. But if we don't stand up and go with Star Trek fans, though, okay, we might want you to do a better job. We might want you to be a bit more consistent. We might, all the fans will have a different.
It's never going to be great to you while you're doing it, but we appreciate
it. Yeah. But if we don't do that, we could go. We may never have Star. I don't think we're in a position because it's too big a franchise that we will never have Star Trek again. But we could very easily go a decade. Very easily, particularly if the movie doesn't do well and they just don't do a series. And I'm sorry, I don't think Star Trek United is going to get greenlit until this movie is significantly down the line. I might be wrong. Some people think it's going to be announced at the next con. I don't think it is, and what I'm hearing is it's not. But if we don't make a noise, if we don't make a bit of a stink, then we're in a position where it's too big a franchise never to come back. It will come back.
Well, and the reason that it'll come back, it might not even be this. It'll be because we never stop watching it. When there were just 78 episodes of Star Trek, it was the top-rated 1-hour scripted drama in syndication for 20 years.
Yep.
It's.
Love it.
You guys are funny. I mean, I did obviously I'm fine with all of that, but like I'm fine with the everything, but that's the Star Trek descent I enjoy. At least it's funny. Like we're taking the piss out of each other. That's what we do. But it's I think that the tenor of and the profitability for some of making it more vitriolic has hurt things in a way. So that's why we spend 2.5 hours arguing with each other about how wrong you are about Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that you're wrong. You're only wrong about it's only section 31. I want to sit here and go, okay, I think Joshua might have been dropped on his head as a baby. Other than that,
I will not say who or say about what, but I am very fortunate in that the stuff that I've written about Star Trek has caught the attention of people who work on Star Trek. And I remember I reviewed something, and someone who was associated with the creative side of Star Trek read that review and just sent me a DM like, buddy, seriously?
I love that. Even we know it was shit.
Yeah.
No, you are a whore when it comes to Star Trek, sir. And
I mean, I will say this, like, I do love it. Like, it is just, I won't deny that, like, my stuff is positive about Star Trek, and it's probably because I love Star Trek. I'm not shilling. I shit on Paramount in my stuff all the time. But I don't know. Every new Star Trek thing has made me mostly giddy inside. And like even the stuff that I brushed up against, like in early Discovery, and I didn't think Starfleet Academy was perfect. There was some teen drama stuff that I was like, I don't love this, but it's also a teen drama. It's like I'm not going to be mad at a teen drama for having teen drama shit in it. I think the Trek culture people are very nice. I'm friendly with a lot of them. They also love Star Trek. Like,
and even they said the third season of Strange New Worlds wasn't great.
Yeah, so, I mean, the one thing I think about shilling that I think is so stupid is like they don't want to pay the people who make this stuff. You think they're paying bloggers and like YouTube people? Get out of here. I mean,
I've been accused of being a shill before now, and I'm like,
yeah. But the thing is, it's like, let me tell you something. If you work for a site called Trek Culture, I'm gonna bet that you have a fond appreciation for Star Trek. Like I'm not gonna go write for TaylorSheridan.com because I don't be liking them shows. Like I don't begrudge people. Actually, Mayor of Kingstown filmed in Pittsburgh. That's a good one. But yeah, like I like this stuff.
I was going to joke then. If somebody gave me £1,000 to say, I'd be like, excellent. What tone and cadence would you like me to use?
Do you want to write it, or should I just have AI do it?
Read it verbatim. That's fine. But actually, I'm not. You should see the amount of emails I get. Do you want to do this sponsorship? Do you want to do this sponsorship? Do you want to do this sponsorship? If you mention this, we'll give you the. I got just last month. I added them all up, and it was about £900 worth of offers that I had that I didn't negotiate. I didn't sort of say, well, I'll have to take a bit more. I've never done sponsorship. One, I'm too lazy. It looks like hard work to me. But two, unless it was a product I was actually really like, these people go, I use this version of Viagra.
Not just the president, but also a client.
This is what I go to. And I'm like, unless it's actually a product that I go, yeah, okay, I genuinely think that's brilliant. I ain't fucking sponsoring it. What was the one recently? Temu offered me £500 worth of vouchers of credit to do a thing, and I'm like, well, that's only worth about £2.50 in real money. But yeah, so no, I'd be a terrible shill. I'd be there. So yes, I really loved Section 31, and I thought it was very well acted. I'd be terrible as a shill. I'd be rubbish. But right, mate, thank you so much. As always, it's been an absolute legend having you on.
Indeed.
You do make me laugh, and yeah.
We always have a good time.
We always have a good time. So, see you back at the end of season 4. Do you think?
Sounds good. Goodbye, Tachyon Pulse fans.
Goodbye, everybody. Right now, I have to do this end stream button, and I press the button. Then we wait about